It's time for Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. For the next 3 hours, it's high school basketball from across the Mountain State. Live from Marshall University, here's your host, Ryan Epling.
And a very pleasant Friday evening, Joe Linville. Jordon Mounts, good to have you back on set.
Absolutely. Great to be back, Joe.
And a new face, Ryan Epling. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, Joey Doss. Joey, welcome to the set of Friday Night basketball. And you've been around for a few weeks working some of the back scenes. So working in the back, what have you seen so far?
Well, a lot of stuff that I've not been around before, that's for sure. I mean, it's always good to get new knowledge, to come in and learn the most you can get out of it, so whenever you go into the future for something you might be wanting to proceed in life, you can say, hey, I've done that and I know how to.
Just to give you a real quick background, you're actually in the broadcast program down at Tulsa High School. Am I correct in saying that? And you're just trying to get a little additional experience as you're still a high school student.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, any game I can get, I try to go out and get that, because broadcasting is something I want to achieve later on. I want to be a sports broadcaster whenever I get into college.
Awesome. So, and Jordan, kind of catch us up with you. It's been several months. What's been happening down in your part of the world?
Well, obviously I'm still highly involved there with Tug Valley High School, doing a lot of their public address and stuff like that for home games and things like that. But also, I just graduated college back in May. Have a bachelor's degree in business administration right now. Actually getting ready to looking and applying and getting ready to apply for grad school. Go back and get my MBA.
Oh,
and,
so you're going to be a professional student.
You might say that. Well, I'll throw this out there. I'm going to go back and get my MBA. That's 6 years or 7 years total. I apologize, but I'm not as much as my dad, who went for 10 years.
Right.
So,
but he's a doctor. So,
yeah, well,
But anyway, good. Well, congratulations on the degree, and
appreciate it.
Of course,
Thank you.
welcome back on the site. Rick Marone had administration duties to do tonight, so he is not with us. And Ryan Epling, he is doing the PA duties at a holiday tournament down at Wayne High School, and hopefully he will be on set before the evening's out. He was scheduled to be in here at about 9:30. They are running behind in the tournament, so hopefully Ryan will arrive sometime before we go off the air in the next 3 hours.
Well, you remember last time he kind of pulled this, where he came in, he said he was going to be in here late. He kind of walked under our stage while talking to us on the phone. So we'll have to see what.
And the helicopter's not available tonight, so he's going to have to drive in. So. All right, we know you're looking for scores, so let's get right at it. We are covering 104 games tonight, and there is 21 holiday tournaments going on. And now let's take a look at the Marshall University Sports Journalism scoreboard. It was the Tulsa Rebels falling to Pikeville, Kentucky today by a score of 50-37. We'll talk a little bit more about that game here in just a few minutes. It was Fairmont Senior adding another win on their schedule as they knocked off George Washington today, 73-63. It was Spring Valley. The Timberwolves continue to flow along as they knocked off Spring Mills, 54-28. The Martinsburg Bulldogs. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the girls' scores here. So, Jordan, I'll have you do the boys' scores here in a minute. Sorry about that. I know when I seen Chapmanville, I know they are in Myrtle or down in Orlando at a tournament. It was the Lady Bulldogs of Martinsville knocking off Chapmanville 74-55. It was South Charleston, the Lady Black Eagles, knocking off Warno High 49-33. At the end of 3, it's the Wayne Pioneers leading the Nitro Wildcats in that holiday tournament down at Wayne by a score of 43-17. Buchanan Upshur, the Lady Buccaneers, knocking off the Brook Bruins today, 72-36. And it was the Winfield Generals knocking off the Lady Mohegans of Morgantown by a score of 58-46. Now let's take a look at the boys' scores with Jordon Mounts.
Alrighty, now on the boys' side of things, we've got the Liberty Raleigh Raiders taking on the Webster County Highlanders, and the Highlanders are victorious in that one, 85-49. The Lincoln County Panthers taking on the Doddridge County Bulldogs. Panthers win 78-49. It was the Trinity Christian Warriors over top of the Lindsley, West Virginia High School, 65-55. Going on down, we've got the Polka Dots taking on the Van Bulldogs. The Dots walk away over the Bulldogs, 65-40. We've got the Spring Mills Cardinals taking on Central Virginia High School. They walk away victorious, 52-46. Moorfield, the Yellow Jackets taking on the Union Tigers. They win big, 74-18. Going on down the list, we've got the Summers County Bobcats. They win over the Popall Pirates by, wow, what a blowout that one was, 105-30, the final score in favor of the Bobcats. The Greater Beckley Christian Crusaders taking on First Love Christian. The Crusaders take a victory at 68-53. The Tulsa Rebels victorious over Fairview High School, 61-57. The Wheeling Park Patriots walk away victorious over St. Clairsville, Ohio, 74-61. It is the Lincoln Cougars taking on the Roane County Raiders. At halftime, that game is 27-20. And finally, in AAA, the Woodrow Wilson Flying Eagles taking on the Wyoming East Warriors. At the end of the third quarter, that score is 58-33. That's your scores from around the Mountain State. Back to you, Joe.
And that's a look at your Marshall University Sports Journalism scoreboard. And, of course, you can always get scores at basketballnight.com. Anyway, a lot of things going around the state this evening. And we even have a lot of teams that are down in the South playing in holiday tournaments. We've got teams down in the Myrtle Beach area. We have teams in Florida. Anywhere, and like I said, when we came on the air, we got 21 teams or 21 tournaments going on in the state of West Virginia. So the holiday tournament is in full swing tonight. A lot of them started last night, going into tonight, and a lot of them will finish up tomorrow night at their respective schools. So any thoughts on holiday tournaments? Is your teams playing any of the tournaments, or do they just kind of take a break or play regular season games, Jordan?
Well, Tug Valley didn't take part in any of the holiday tournaments. They're going to be in the Hatfield-McCoy shootout here coming up here in January here sometime, which you'll have both myself and Joey here working that tournament, doing a lot of the public address and maybe even some of the broadcasting for some of the games down there as well. But, as far as the games that they have played, they've had a 10-day break. This is actually tonight. They're playing the West Side Renegades. Have yet to get a score update from that game, so I'm over here sitting on nails here a little bit, so to speak. But nonetheless, having such a break, taking a good break over the Christmas holiday, for a very young Tug Valley team, it could either be beneficial or it's a challenge for the coaching staff to actually keep to keep those boys motivated over that long break, and keep those keep the focus there, especially with such a young team.
Yeah, we talked about that last week and even maybe the week before. Mm-hmm. Is it good to take a break during the holiday season? It seems like, like your teams, you get started at about the end of that first or beginning of the second week of December. You play 2 or 3 games, and then, bam, the holidays are upon us, and you take a break. Is that good or bad? And we've talked to different coaches, and everybody has a different philosophy, obviously. Most of the coaches like to keep that repetition up, that continuity to keep those games going. That's the reason a lot of these teams have gotten into these holiday tournaments. Plus, it also gives some of these schools the opportunity to travel to places they've never been. I know I stopped by my local team this afternoon, and they were getting ready to pack up and head up to Summersville to the CVB tournament. Yep. And they got a game up there tonight. They're spending the night and playing again tomorrow night against Nicholas County. So then you've got teams like, I know, for example, Logan, I'm not sure. I think they're playing down in the Myrtle Beach area, and you've got Chapmanville down near Orlando playing in a big tournament. So, you got teams just traveling all over basically the southeast part of the country. And, Joey, you actually had the call of the game earlier today. You want to tell us a little bit about that game? Yeah,
it was the Tulsa Rebels in the Ohio Riverside Classic versus the Pikeville Panthers. And if people who don't know that matchup, Pikeville is a big favor over Tulsa Rebels, as Tulsa Rebels is single A, and then you get over in Kentucky, and Pikeville Panthers always have a very good roster, and they have very good programs. I don't know if you all seen their football program, but they looks like a college team out there with how many kids they have.
Their football program just got that massive overhaul of their locker room, which resembles, honestly, a collegiate locker room. It's honestly one of a lot of college teams would be jealous over. I don't know if you saw the videos of that, but it's remarkable what they've done down there.
And then you see their girls basketball team. They go so deep in their roster. They had a couple great good players I watched. I interviewed player of the game, Grace Bartley. The game in the second quarter, Tulsa actually shaved it down to they were trailing by 2 points at once in the second quarter. And then they get on these little spurts where Tulsa kind of lets their defense not do anything, and then their offense kind of steps up. Sarah Jude's a player to watch. It's just we were doing good on both ends, in my opinion. It's just overpowered. They had some bigger players, as Leslie Stewart down low for Pikeville Panthers. When she was in, she was a force to be reckoned with. She had 3 or 4 blocks on the night, guarding the paint. So Tulsa, I was really impressed by the way they came out and played against Pikeville Panthers, though, as the score was 50-37, but still you got to like the effort to not back down from the Rebels against that kind of matchup.
Absolutely. I'll give you another little bit of a side fact there about Pikeville High School. Coming down from Mingo County, it's only about a 20-minute drive from where I live over to Pikeville High School. The interesting thing about that school is it's actually not a state school. It's a city-funded school. It is funded by the citizens of Pikeville, Kentucky. So kind of an interesting thing. Not necessarily, it's not a private school, but it's just a public school that's funded by the city. Kind of an interesting thing.
And now you mentioned that, I'd forgotten about that. A good friend of mine several years ago moved to down to Pikeville, and he actually moved into the city limits so his kids could go to Pikeville instead of the county public schools. So kind of interesting thought there. So, what do you think about basketball? I know are you a senior, junior?
I'm a sophomore.
A sophomore. That's hard to believe. This guy's, may have a great career ahead of him. But anyway, what's your thoughts on doing the play-by-play of basketball? It's a little different than just sitting there watching it.
Oh yeah, play-by-play. I'm always a person. If I'm sitting at my house, I'm talking to anyone that will listen to me in the house about the game, even if they could care less. So getting the chance to be able to do these games and do play-by-play, it's always fun to me and something I want to just proceed to get better with as time goes along. Something I want to make a living off of when I get older, and sports is really the only thing that excites me or I find interesting more than the time in basketball. Being able to sit and watch all these great teams and the players that come by, maybe greater players in the future, well known. It's just a good thing to sit in and be by.
I've got a, what sparked your interest to get into sports journalism? And then, there's very few schools in the nation, much less West Virginia, that actually offer, broadcast classes.
Well, looking into it, I watch sports. This is a big reason. I don't tell many people this. It's just the reason. I've always liked to play sports, and sports I've always played almost every sport I could until I hit high school, and I kind of lost I didn't go to the weight room as much as everyone else and everything, so I figured I don't want to play unless I'm going to be super great at this, but I do love watching it and talking about it, so I figured take the other route, and I would like to just talk about the game more instead, and I feel like I like having knowledge about the game and like to explain it to other people that will listen or are friendly with sports that like to talk about those kind of subjects.
Jordan, I'm going to have to swing the question over to you. Same question. What caused you to spark your interest to get into sports journalism?
Well, I'll take it back to probably my sophomore year of high school. I'll even take it back further than that. When I was in 7th and 8th grade, going to Kermit K-8, which is a feeder school for Tug Valley High School, I was approached by the head coach at the time, Garland Thompson, to assist in doing video in the team's games, doing that sort of side of it to help them in practice so they could have some game film to watch and critique and everything like that. And then from that point on, it kind of gradually went to where I was doing it for the football team my freshman year and the basketball team my freshman year in high school. And then it just so happened that our first game of my sophomore year at football, they didn't have a public address announcer, and they said, "Can you do it?" And I said, "I don't know, but we'll give it a shot." So I started doing public address there in my sophomore year for football season. Then the head coach for the basketball team approached me and asked me to do it then. And so I started doing public address. I did that for my sophomore and my junior season and even my senior season there for football. And then I was approached again by one of the people here at Basketball Friday Night, Fred Dameron, who basically said, "Here's a mixer, here's a couple of headsets, this is how it hooks up, do it." And that's kind of how I got my start. And I did 55 ball games my senior year of high school, and I haven't looked back since.
That's actually when you and I met. I went down, I was working for WVOW there in Logan, and went down to do a Tug Valley basketball game, and I don't remember, but anyway, the guy that was supposed to do the color got sick, wasn't available. But anyway, and Fred said, "I'm going to hook you up with this guy." When he said he was a senior, I cringed. But Jordan, you left an impression on me there. You did an outstanding job, and I felt like our chemistry worked well, and we've kind of become friends ever since.
I appreciate it. Absolutely, that's mutual feelings right here.
And of course, my career into radio took a little bit different path. Actually, after high school, I was working for a local newspaper. A new radio station came to town. I went over to do a story about the radio station, and the guy said, "Here, sit down here. You got a pretty good voice." And I did some voice tracks, and next thing I know, I was an on-air DJ. And about 4 months later, it was football season, and I was dragged in to be the color guy, and had never done any kind of sports. And just Dick Calloway, who was the former mayor of Logan and been involved in radio in the state for many, many years. And anyway, he got me involved in it, and then here I am. So anyway, we need to take break number 1 here on Basketball Friday Night, and we'll be back in 2 minutes with more of the fastest 3 hours of basketball. You are listening to the Basketball Friday Night here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. Does showing up for work at a ballpark or an arena sound good to you? A Marshall University sports journalism degree can get you there. Sports journalism at Marshall is serious, and it's big business. Sports media and communications careers are some of the most competitive and marketable in the world. We'll prepare you to think critically, report accurately, and artfully tell the stories on and off the field or court. If this sounds like you, the Marshall School of Journalism is ready and eager to start your journey. Learn more at marshall.edu/SOJMC. Thanks for joining us here at Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We want you to follow us on Twitter, and a shout out to some of our latest Twitter followers. In fact, 26 minutes ago, Aaron K., Angel McKenzie joined us, Gage Landham, Mama Levens, Jason Arthur, Josh, Jeremy Harless, Andrew Workman, Brian Guthrie, and David Kirkendall. We thank you for being part of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia and being part of the family. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Tweet us your team's score tonight. Tell us about all the tournament action happening and give us your comments on the game. @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Big shout out to all those folks all over the state joining us on Twitter tonight. Go to our webpage, basketballnight.com. You can find out how you can call, tweet, text, and email. Join us on the phone tonight. Toll free, 855-784-6677. 855-784-6677. This is Basketball Friday Night, West Virginia's basketball voice.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
Welcome back to Basketball Friday Night, and we're still looking for Rick Marone, and we're still looking for Ryan Epling, but Jordon Mounts in studio with us tonight. Ryan Epling will be joining us a little later, and I'm Joe Linville. I want to kind of set this up a little bit. We had a young man, a high school player from Scott High, hit a 3/4 length of the floor shot. I mean, he hit one from the free throw line, but I'm not talking about the one right in front of the basket. I'm talking about the one on the other end. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. And Jeff, good evening, and welcome to Basketball Friday Night.
Good evening, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. Sounds like you're at a ball game there in the background.
No, my mom said something about like an alarm going off.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I don't know what that was.
Oh, okay, gotcha. It was actually on. It was actually on our end, and Jeff is a member of the Scott Scout basketball team, and you guys, I think last Saturday went up and you were playing Lincoln High School up at Shingston, and it was actually at the end of the JV game, and you guys were actually, I think, down by 5 points. and they inbounded the ball to you, and you let go with a shot that you hit from pretty much 3/4 length of the floor, and I mean it. You drilled it. What did you think when that ball went through the basket?
Well, I was honestly more shocked that it went in than anything, in all honesty. I kind of just threw it up to throw it up, and then it just went in, and I was like, well, what do I do now? And, I mean, it just came into me. I threw it up, and I went in, so.
Jeff is actually a sophomore at Scott High School, and Jeff, I've actually watched this young man play basketball probably since he was about knee high to an ant. There's a basketball court out in our church parking lot, and Jeff just lives right down the street. And you've been playing basketball for a long time. You played Little League and in middle school, and now you're playing for the Scott Skyhawks. Walk us a little bit through your basketball career and the passion to play the sport.
Well, I'm a multi-sport athlete, so I've always had a passion to play sports. And my sister played before me, and I love watching her play. And she went to a couple of state finals, didn't win any, but it was still a lot of fun to watch. I'd love to play in a state tournament game at least. Hopefully make it to a state final game. And it's been one of my passions to always play basketball. You know, as a kid growing up, everybody wants to become either an NFL player or an NBA player or MLB player, just depending on what sport you play. And I play football, basketball, and baseball. So I mean, I've always wanted just to play sports all my life. So grade school I started playing, and I was of course playing the buddy league, and I enjoyed that. And I played 4th and 5th grade year, loved it, enjoyed it. We won both of our Boone County tournaments, and I believe it or not, I had my 4th grade year. I was on the B team, and it was halftime. It wasn't the end of the game, but we were playing Wharton, and we rolled the ball up to center court, and when I was 4th grade, I threw one up in the Madison Civic Center from half court and nailed that one too.
Man,
kind of a
wow.
little bit familiar with throwing up long balls and having them go in with basketball. So
maybe Coach McComas needs to have you just standing down there and just throw them into you and shoot. You know.
Yeah, well, I had it was the first game. My mom bought me a headband. It was the first game I wore it. I threw that up, and everybody's looking at me saying it's the headband. Don't wash it and play with it. So. I don't know. That maybe has something to do with it if you're superstitious or not.
All right. For those folks watching on Network West Virginia and, of course, our YouTube channel, Facebook Live. But anyway, I think we've got the clip of this video queued up, and we'd like to take a look at it. They inbound it to Jeff. Look here. He just takes a step literally just drills it. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better shot. I mean, did your heart just pump out of your chest when that ball went through the net?
Pretty much, yeah. I kind of threw that up and got a little bit cocky about it and stuck up 3 fingers to the sideline. So,
but
it was funny.
Yeah, you guys come up a couple points short, but still, yet it was an awesome finish to what I understand was a pretty good basketball game there last Saturday.
Yeah, we didn't win either one of them, but of course, nobody likes to lose, but I mean, I do anything and everything that I can for my teammates and my team to win. So
yeah, I think
even if I consist of throwing up a 3/4 court shot and drilling it at the buzzer.
Yeah,
down by
I know the varsity team there. I think they got beat on a buzzer beater as well. They lost by 2 points, but a couple great games there, and it's always good when student athletes get out there and it goes down to the wire. That's the games you enjoy watching. So Jeff, go back and enjoy your family. Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your vacation to call in and be on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Jeff McCoy, sophomore basketball player for the Scott Skyhawks, drilling that 3/4 length shot. Jordan, you ever seen anything like that in high school basketball?
I can recall this one play back, I believe it was my junior year of high school, when Tug Valley, again, was playing Belfry High School in the Mountain Schoolboy Classic. And Tug Valley had a 1-point lead with approximately 3 seconds to play. They got this other team, which was from Kentucky. If I'm not mistaken, it was Harlan County, Kentucky, inbounded the basketball, and the kid launched one from about that far out, and it went in, and we walked away in defeat on that one. I don't like talking about our losses too much, but, I'll give that kid credit. I mean, it's what can you do to defend a shot like that?
Exactly. I mean, they weren't even guarding him. I mean, they just stepped back. Of course, that particular shot didn't have any bearing on the game, but it could have. If it had been, down by 2 instead of down by 5, that could have been a game winner.
I mean, I'll take this back a couple of weeks ago. Whenever Tug Valley and Tulsa were playing, and that 5'8" freshman guard there from Tulsa, who hadn't really hit a 3-pointer all day long, he drilled that thing, and he was like 10 foot beyond the arc. Wasn't the distance, but whenever the pressure was on, he had ice water in his veins, and I'll give him all the credit in the world. I mean, he drilled that shot there a couple of weeks ago.
All of our producers here at Basketball Friday Night are always coming up with new, innovative ideas, and we're actually going to add another one of those features to the show tonight. We actually, over to the left of our set, we have our score desk, and this is where the scores come into. These guys are over here adding scores, so if we could maybe get a shot of these guys over here working on scores, the Marcus Constantino and they're working on gathering scores from across the state. So if you have a score of a ball game tonight, tweet those in to us. It's our Twitter is @hoops_roundup. You can email them to scores@basketballnight.com. You can call them in at 855-784-6677. You can go to our Facebook page and send them to us. Just any way you want to get us those scores. Like I said, we have 104 games on tap. I don't think we've ever had that many games in one night, and 21 holiday tournaments. That's just hard to believe.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And this is kind of and we had this conversation a little earlier, Joe, about, a lot of teams have different philosophies, whether they want to actually take this off as like a break or they want to keep playing, keep the momentum of the season going. And to have 104 games on a Friday night alone over the state of West Virginia, that's insane.
And while the students are on holiday break, I mean, they're on Christmas break between Christmas and New Year's. This is, of course, our final show of the the calendar year of 2018. Of course, we'll roll on. I think it's show number 78 next week. So, but anyway, there's just so much going on around the state, and we're going to take a break here in just a couple minutes, but then we'll get you a scoreboard update. But getting back to the philosophy of the tournaments, gives these kids the opportunity to travel. And it takes money. That's the downside of it. You got to go out and have fundraisers, or you have to have a good supporter behind your program, or somebody that's got deep pockets or has some money to back you. But anyway, like I said, I know some schools down in Florida this week, and and usually it's a lot of your bigger programs that. Yeah, but that's what it takes.
There was a few years ago. I mean, the schools go all over, traveling for tournaments and stuff over the holidays. But one I can actually recall that I actually got to travel to and covered 4 ball games down there was when Tug Valley went down and played in the Joe Miller Invitational in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'll get the city out in a moment here. That was an excellent tournament down there, and we saw some. Tug Valley, that I can recall down there, there were 4 teams down there that I know of that were in the top 100 in the nation. So the competition down there was just insane. Tug Valley alone played the number 27 ranked team, along with another team, the host school down there, that was ranked 175th in the nation, according to Max Preps. So, the competition level at some of these out-of-state tournaments like this, unreal, and got to meet some interesting people. I actually sat right beside the head coach and assistant coach of Rutgers University there for one game broadcasting. I'm
not trying to toot anybody's horn, but a game that we had not covered, it was because it was last Saturday, a repeat of the Class AA state championship game from the Charleston Civic Center was actually played in Chapmanville last Saturday night. Chapmanville came from behind and knocked off Fairmont. Everybody thought, Fairmont may have enough horsepower to knock off Chapmanville this week. But, of course, being on Chapmanville's home floor and whatever, and they said the atmosphere was phenomenal. But then Chapmanville goes, everybody everybody's saying, oh, Chapman's going to the tournament undefeated. Well, they went down to this holiday tournament in Florida and got knocked off. I think it was Perry County, Central Kentucky actually knocked them off yesterday, but it was in a very close score. But you never know. You travel that far, and you're kind of out of your element.
And absolutely, and you're going to be facing some of the better competition, obviously, from around the country. If you see teams that are traveling that far, generally you're going to get some great competition. And a lot of these schools are not your typical kind of high schools, I guess is the best way to put it. Some of these are preparatory high schools, preparatory schools that are actually prepping some of the greatest athletes here across the country to go to the next level. And whenever you get into teams like that, public schools and even private schools here locally, you don't get the opportunity to get the kind of caliber of players that they do in such mass numbers.
It's time for break number 2 here on Basketball Friday Night. You're listening to the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be on Friday nights after the game. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. High school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as teams focus on a trip to the state championship in Charleston. Stay up to date with your local team and its progress all season long with Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia for 3 hours Friday night from 9 to midnight. Listen online or on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. You'll hear sports writers, broadcasters, coaches, players, and your calls recapping your team's game. Visit basketballnight.com for more details on how you can become part of the show. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Thanks to everyone tonight that has already sent texts, tweets, and emails. Continue to do so. We appreciate you being part of the show and helping us cover all high school basketball in West Virginia. Join us tonight on the phone. Share your team's game. Call toll-free 855-784-6677, 855-784-6677. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. You can also text the show. Text scores to 304-249-4924. 304-249-4924. Go to our website, check out the scoreboard, find out how you can connect with the show tonight at basketballnight.com. And a shout out to some of our latest Twitter followers. WBOY 12 Sports Zone, thanks for joining us. ML Matheny and Gracie. They're all part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
Welcome back to the second 30 minutes of the first hour of the fastest 30 hours in basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And I'm Joe Linville, and joining me on set is Jordon Mounts. And hopefully Ryan Epling will be joining us a little bit later. Rick Marone had being a assistant principal at school, you've got administration duties to do. So we kind of let him off the hook tonight. So give Jordan the opportunity to come back and be on the set with us. And Jordan, I do want to, before we get to the scoreboard, real quick, just throw back to March. You were actually covering the state tournaments for us, and we were Skyping in with you. What kind of experience was that? That had never been done on this program or anywhere in the state before.
Joe, looking at the competition that you get at the state level every single year, it's just unreal to be able to sit there and absorb all that high quality basketball, some of the best basketball from the state of West Virginia. But to be able to Skype into the show, while it was different, it was a great experience because, not only did I get to watch the greatest show on the hardwood there in front of us, I guess if you want to call it that, but not only did I get to watch some great basketball, but I got to call in, report in, two of my favorite things in the world: watch sports and report about sports. So it was a great opportunity, and it was a lot of fun. Something that honestly I would love to see us do a little bit more of here in the future.
And maybe we can work that into our concept. And of course, we'll be back at the state tournament covering the games again this year, and that's pretty neat. Giving live score updates as they're happening. So anyway, we know you're looking for scores, so look no more. Go to basketballnight.com scoreboard. Now let's take a look at our Marshall University Sports Journalism scoreboard. First of all, let's take a look at some games going on across the state of West Virginia. In a final, it was Webster County, the Highlanders, knocking off Liberty Raleigh, the Raiders, 85-49. Another final was Lincoln County. Coach Rodney Plumley and his Panthers knock off Doddridge County, 78-49. It was Trinity Christian, the Warriors, over Lindsley High School by a score of 65-55, and that was in the Undo's tournament, holiday tournament. It was the Polka Dots over the Van Bulldogs, 65-40. It was Spring Mills, the Cardinals, knocking off Central Virginia High School, 52-46, and that game was in the Skip Fowler tournament going on in Martinsburg. In a final, it was the Yellow Jackets of Moorfield knocking off the Union Tigers, 74-18. Summers County, the Bobcats over the Paw Paw Pirates, 105-30. Wirt County, the Tigers over the Wahama Falcons, 61-53, and that was in the Wirt Holiday Tournament consolation game. It was Tuscarora, Virginia, knocking off the Washington Patriots tonight, 79-60. Another final, it was Martinsburg over Frederick Christian Academy from Maryland, 72-19. Also in the Wirt County Champions bracket, it was Williamstown, the Yellow Jackets, knocking off the Buffalo Bisons by a score of 65-53. In the Petersburg Holiday Tournament, it was the Petersburg Vikings over Pendleton County, 56-50. And one, it went to overtime. It was the Jefferson Cougars over the Faith Christian Academy, 63-55. Jefferson goes 6-0 in the first run. It went into overtime. Taylor Tennant hit a last-second three-pointer to force the game into overtime. It was the Greater Beckley Christian over First Love Christian, 68-53. Here's a close one. Kaiser, the Golden Tornadoes, knock off Tucker County, 77-75. It was Tulsa, the Rebels, over Fairview, Kentucky, 61-57. Wheeling Park, the Patriots, over St. Clairsville, Ohio, 74-61. Alex Bargo had 22 points for Wheeling Park. It was the Lincoln Cougars. This game is at the half. Lincoln Cougars lead Roane County 27-20. In a final, Woodrow Wilson, the Flying Eagles, knock off Wyoming East 73-53. And Chapmanville, this is in that holiday tournament. This is a game earlier today. Actually, they beat Perry County Central 71-51, and that's in a big tournament down in Orlando, Florida. And that's a look at the boys' scores. And now here's Jordan with a look at the girls' scores.
Joe, we've been going on for a while, but we're not halfway done yet. In the Morgantown Holiday Tournament, you've got the Chapmanville Tigers, who walk away in defeat here, 74-55. We do not have their opponent here for this game, but that is a final score for that game. It is the Pikeville, Kentucky Panthers that took on the Tulsa Rebels. The Panthers walked away in victory here, 50-37, the final score in that one. The Montcalm Generals walk away victorious over Craig County, Virginia, 46-36, final score in that one. The Fairmont Senior Polar Bears walk away with the victory over the George Washington Patriots, 73-63. It was the Lincoln Cougars that got the win over the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, double A basketball versus single A basketball. Final score of 38-34 in that one. We have the Spring Valley Timberwolves that took on the Spring Mills Cardinals. Timberwolves walk away victorious in that one, 54-28. It was the Martinsville Bulldogs taking on the Chapmanville Tigers. The Bulldogs get the win in that one, 74-55. The Hurricane Redskins took on the Chesapeake, Ohio High School in the Wayne tournament. I'm assuming that's where our friend Ryan Epling is at. 50-35, the Hurricane Redskins walk away victorious in that one. Scrolling on down, we've got the Parkersburg Catholic Crusaders that took on the Herbert Hoover Huskies. 63-28, your final score. That was at the Mary O tournament. The Crusaders get the win in that one. South Charleston, the Black Eagles taking on Warren, Ohio. Black Eagles cruise 49-33, the final score in that one. It was the Doddridge County Bulldogs taking on the Ritchie County Rebels. The Bulldogs walk away with a victory, 54-48. That one actually went into 2 overtimes, single A versus triple A school right there. It was the Wayne Pioneers taking on the Nitro Wildcats again at the Wayne tournament. Pioneers walk away victorious in this one, 56-26. Scrolling on down, you've got the Ripley Vikings taking on the Capital Cougars. Vikings walk away with the victory on that one over a triple A opponent, 52-38. You've got the Buchanan Upshur Buccaneers over the Brook Bruins, 72-36. Quite a victory on that one. And finally, the Winfield Generals take the win over the Morgantown Mohegans, 58-46. Final score in that one. That's a look at the scores from around the Mountain State. Joe, back to you.
And that's a look at your Marshall University Sports Journalism scoreboard. And anyway, Jordan, just, anything jump out at you, the envious scores? I tell you what, there's a couple of lopsided scores up, especially in the Eastern Panhandle tonight.
Not only the lopsided scores jumped out at me, but there was a couple of major upsets there, if you want to call them that. Your single A's beat some triple A schools. That's impressive right there. Those are the scores that really jumped out to me, Joe.
And let's go back to the phone lines. And joining us now is a guy who I'm sure has probably got a big smile, may have a suntan at this point, Coach Brad Napper, head coach of the Chapmanville Tigers. And, Coach, thanks for joining us. And how's the weather in beautiful sunny Florida?
Oh, it's great. It was 85 today, and it was just beautiful.
It was almost that here. No, not really. It was in the low 60s today. So, but anyway, let's talk about your team a little bit. And of course, Chapmanville back on track after that state championship run in Class AA last year. And you guys had a tall order in your Bob Runyon Memorial Tournament last weekend down at Chapmanville, and man, you guys come up with a big victory over Fairmont. A lot of people thought that maybe this was the year for Fairmont to reload, but it was a heck of a basketball game.
Yeah, we've played a really, really tough stretch of games, starting with Scott on Wednesday and Shady on Friday, and turned around Fairmont on Saturday, and then we were down here yesterday and today. So we've had a tough stretch of games here the last 5 or 6 games.
Coach, before we get in and talking about the tournament you're in there down in Florida, just want to get your opinion. Obviously, I can probably almost know the answer. We were talking off a little earlier. You start your season there at about the second week of December. You get into full swing, and then a lot of times in the past, you get this big 10, 12-day break. But now all these holiday tournaments and, a lot of teams like you guys, you travel. But you get into these tournaments, to face some different competition. What's your thoughts on it? Obviously, you like it, or you guys wouldn't be in Florida playing in one.
Yeah, I think it's great for your your team chemistry. The guys get out of town and spend some time together, and not only that, but you get to go play teams you don't normally get to see, and teams from out of your area, and you can kind of gauge yourself on what you need to improve on and what you need to work on, things like that. We played a team out of Cincinnati yesterday, and they beat us in overtime. We had a 3-point lead, and a kid hit a shot at the buzzer to put it into overtime, and they ended up beating us in overtime by 2. But it was just a hard-fought game, and I think it's this type of game that'll prepare us for hopefully another deep tournament run.
Coach, traveling to some of these holiday tournaments like you all have done here this year, the competition level, especially coming out of state like this, to some of these preparatory schools like that, is a lot greater than what you get here. Sometimes traveling here just around the Mountain State. Can you tell us a little bit about the competition level that you're facing down there as compared to some of the stuff that you see up here in the West Virginia?
Yeah, anytime you go out of state, you see some really good teams because, most schools, unless you've got a strong team and a strong program, you don't bring your teams to tournaments like this, And the team that we played yesterday was, the team out of Cincinnati. They got about 2,600 kids in their school. They were 6 or 7-1 coming into this thing, so they had their only loss was by 1 point to one of the top teams in Ohio. So they were a very, very good team, coached really well, and you get to see a lot of different types of teams when you come to tournaments like this. You'll see teams with a lot of big kids, and you'll see teams that got really good guards, and it's a different kind of atmosphere, and it's more of a tournament type, almost like a state tournament time atmosphere where you got to play 3 games in 3 days or 3 games in 4 days.
Coach, talk a little bit about your game today. It's probably a team you're a little more familiar with, being a little more regional. You guys picked up a victory today, and to kind of get yourselves, I guess, your feet back under you after that disappointing loss yesterday.
Well, we got today's game against Perry County. We got the game more at our pace, which is up and down, more of a fast-paced game. The team we played yesterday they slowed it up on us and played really slow. And as you could probably tell, the score was in the 40s, and that was in overtime. So, it was a very low-scoring game, and they were very, very fundamentally sound and just played extremely slow. And the team today we got the game more fast-paced, and that's the way we like to play, and our kids are more comfortable playing at that pace.
And, Coach, I'll let you throw this in. I think you guys, or some of your guys, got to go over maybe to Disney World yesterday for a little bit and take in some of the sights and sounds over there as well.
Yeah, we went over to Disney today for a little while, and I think we're going to do Universal maybe tomorrow. So, we're able to get away and do some fun things with the kids and just spend some quality time, with the players and let them kind of bond a little bit and have a good time, and make memories that they'll have forever, and that's part of, I think, part of high school, and I think that this is a great opportunity for these guys.
All right, talking to Coach Brad Napper, the head coach of the Chapmanville Tigers. Coach, thanks for joining us on Basketball Friday Night. More importantly, enjoy your little trip there and the sights and sound of Central Florida, and good luck tomorrow with your team. But most importantly, travel back safely over the weekend.
All right, thank you all for having me on.
All right, we'll have you on a little later in the year. Coach Brad Napper, the head coach of the Chapmanville Tigers, is the Chapmanville team down in Orlando playing in a tournament. We need to take a break. This will be break number 3 here for Basketball Friday Night. You are listening to us on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Every Friday night from 9 to midnight, we're the home for high school basketball in the Mountain State. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. R.J. Klein, Sherman Tide, Jesse Muncie, Tulsa Rebels. And tonight, you'll meet someone new representing the Nicholas County Lady Grizzlies. What they all have in common is they were selected by Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia as the Standout Athlete of the Week. Have someone remarkable on your team? Did you have an athlete make an outstanding play? You can nominate your team's players to become the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week, we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week. Head over to our website, basketballnight.com, and click on the Standout Athlete of the Week tab. Fill out the nomination form. We'll take it from there. We want you to nominate your team's athletes. Check it out at basketballnight.com. Don't forget to join us tonight and vote in this week's poll. You've got till 11:45 tonight, and then we'll share the results with you. Last week, the poll question was, should girls basketball be kept in winter or moved back to the fall? 60% of you voted to keep it in winter. This week's question, should the 22-game regular season limit be changed? Give us a yes or no. Go to basketballnight.com to vote in this week's poll, and you'll see the poll question on the right-hand side of the page. Again, you've got till 11:45 tonight to vote, and of course we'll share the results at the end of the show this evening. Basketball Friday Night, West Virginia's high school basketball voice.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State. You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
Jordon Mounts and Joe Linville in studio. Ryan Epling will be joining us a little later this evening. And Jordan, it's just hard to believe some of the weather we're having. We were talking about this last week. You know, we've had a lot of rain, but the temperatures, I mean, you know, we were in the low 60s today.
You know, if any of our listeners follow me on Facebook, then you can relate to a post I made about a year ago when I said, I think I just saw a penguin. And this was on the campus of West Virginia Tech University there in Beckley. You know, we certainly haven't had that kind of weather here right now. Here recently, but I am not one to complain about that at all.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines, and joining us now is Super Dave Morrison. Dave, good evening. Welcome to Basketball Friday Night.
Hey, how you guys doing this evening?
Hey, we're doing good. How's the weather over in your neck of the woods?
Well, I'm actually in Beckley, and I think I just saw the same penguin walking down the street. So it's pretty nice here in Beckley tonight.
I heard that. I know. I think over toward like Greenbrier and Pocahontas and up through the eastern Panhandle got a lot. I think maybe a little more rain than we had over in the central and western part of the state. But anyway, we're here to talk basketball and what's happening at the Armory this weekend.
Well, they have the Little General Battle for the Armory going on tonight. First Love and Greater Beckley in the first game. It was a close game. Greater Beckley played pretty well against this traveling. It's kind of a national team. One of those teams that travels around, plays different teams. State with that team that I understand has 4 or 5 Division I signees. Stayed with them, got the game within 3. In the end, they ended up losing by double figures. The nightcap was Woodrow Wilson. Now, you talk about a team that really, really needed to win. It was Woodrow Wilson, starting 0-3 for the first time in school history. And you think about that. You would think that somewhere along the line, Woodrow might have had a down season, but never have they started 0-3. Really needed to win. Ended up getting that in 20-point fashion against Wyoming East. I think it was 71-51. I checked my stats. I should have had that ready. Apologize for that, but they did win by 20 points, and like I said, we were really in need of a win. Starting out 0-3, I talked with Bryce Radford, their senior shooter, after the game, and I asked him what it was like going to Christmas break with an 0-3 record for the first time in school history. He said, well, you go to the mall, you want to buy your mom a Christmas present. Everybody wants to know what's wrong with the team. That's kind of how it is with Woodrow Wilson basketball. Of course, Wyoming East, a very storied tradition themselves, and they just played one heck of a killer schedule to start the season.
Because, of course, Woodrow, one of those powerhouse teams that seem like, after graduation, they find ways to reload. What's the atmosphere like over at the Armory this weekend?
Well, it ended up being a pretty good crowd. Of course, you got the West Virginia Bowl game going on this evening.
That wasn't worth watching.
No.
Yeah, I understand it. It got pretty ugly there at the end. But it was a pretty good crowd. It ended up being a pretty good crowd. Wyoming East always draws well, and, of course, Woodrow's going to draw well especially if they're playing a local team. And like I said, Woodrow really just needed a win. I was impressed because of the bowl game. I was impressed by the crowd that did show up tonight, and should be 2 good games tomorrow. Woodrow will play First Love in the championship game at 8 p.m., and Wyoming East will play Greater Beckley at 6 p.m. in the consolation game. Now, it'll be Greater Beckley's second game in 3 nights against a team from Wyoming County. They beat Westside last night. Interestingly enough, Greater Beckley was in the game with this First Love team, and they did that without Jay Moore, their leading scorers, averaging 26 points. He sat out the last 2 games, and that doesn't look like he's going to play tomorrow either, not an injury or anything. But even without him, they were right there with First Love, and they beat Westside last night without him as well. So that just shows you how deep Greater Beckley is, and a real good single-A team here in the area.
Looking like you were talking about there, starting off at an 0-3 fashion there for Woodrow Wilson, and then unfortunately, and then they came back and got that win here today. From your standpoint and from what you've covered here, these games, do you think this is going to be the stepping stone that they needed that's going to get them going in the right direction here for the rest of their season?
Well, yeah, I do, and I asked Bryce Raffles that same question as well, and he said this was a make-or-break game for us. We needed to win here, but he did say they were confident in the 3 losses that they were going to win. He said that's just Woodrow basketball. We always think that we're going to win, and I think just getting a win to get that taste of 0-3 out of the mouth would be a big thing for them. But again, they're playing a national travel team that has some really good athletes. It should be a great matchup tomorrow night, and they got some shooters. Woodrow Wilson's got some bigs. They kind of own the boards tonight against Wyoming East. Good mixture. They play a team that with a little more seasoning. They've only got a couple of guys that were regulars last year, Danny Bickey and Bryce Rapper, but they're both very good shooters. They got a Gillum kid inside, a big. It's pretty good. Micah Hancock's a football player who's also a basketball player and a very good player. They've got a nice nucleus there, at least in their top 6 or 7.
Dave, that should be an outstanding game tomorrow night. You got 2 locals there that'll tee it up there in the Raleigh County Armory. What's the new name of it? I can never remember the new name of it.
I think it's I always refer to it as the Armory. I think it's the Beckley Raleigh County Convention Center.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's always been the Raleigh County Armory as long as I can remember. So, Dave, we got.
Trying to get everything down.
Yeah, we've only got about 30 seconds. Any other games you followed of notoriety over the last week?
Well, the Westside Greater Beckley game was interesting. Now, tomorrow, Wyoming East is playing Parkersburg South. That's a girls' basketball game. Tomorrow at about 4:30 down in New Richmond. I'll be at that game. Emily Saunders, who signed with Tennessee, is 13 points from 1,000 for a career. And you think about this, the last 3 years they've had Gabby Lupartis 1,000, Jazz Blankenship, who's still on the team, at 1,000. She's already over 1,000, and now Emily Saunders ready to join that group too. So it's been quite a run for Wyoming East girls, and that's tomorrow at 4:30. Oh,
that ought to be a great one too. So I'm sure you'll probably possibility of a packed house there in Beckley tomorrow night.
Oh, I think that there should be. I think what Woodrow can do is match up athletically with the First Love, and that should keep him in the game.
Dave, thanks very much. We got to go. We got a hard break coming up in 5 seconds.
Guys.
You are listening to Basketball Friday Night on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. Special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates. You can listen on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State, including WKQV in Cowan, 105.5 FM, and heard in Braxton County, 106.9 FM, 103.7 Jack FM, WQWV in Fisher. The Valley's Watchdog, 1600 AM, WKKX Wheeling, 1370 AM, WVLY Moundsville. Jackson County's home for Southern Gospel, Singing News Radio, 92.5 FM, WTHMLP Ravenswood Ripley. Nights Radio, 91.5 FM, WRSG in Middleburn. Talk Radio, WRNR Martinsburg, 740 AM, 106.5 FM. Classic Hits, 106 WHFI Linside, 106.7 FM. 95 The Sports Fox, WBES Charleston, 950 AM. The Voice of the Coalfields, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM, WVOW in Logan. Light Rock, 93R, WRRR St. Mary's, 93.9 FM. The Ticket, 102.3 FM, WMTD in Hinton. The Greatest Oldies of All Time, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM, WQAZ-LP Edmond, Beckley. Tune for You, Yap Radio, 101.7 FM, WYAP-LP in Clay. 104.5 FM, WASP-LP in Huntington. 101.1 FM, WVWP-LP in Wayne. 90.7 FM, WFGH Fort Gay. And Marshall University's flagship station, The Cutting Edge, 88.1 FM, WMUL in Huntington. Thanks for joining us tonight. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Welcome back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. To join tonight's program, call 855-78-HOOPS. That's 855-784-6677. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup for all the scores all the time. And visit basketballnight.com for a comprehensive look at schedules and standings for every team in the state. Stay tuned. Another hour of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia begins right now.
1 down, 2 to go in the fastest 3 hours of high school basketball in the state of West Virginia. Welcome to Basketball Friday Night. Jordon Mounts. I'm Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling hopefully will be headed our direction in the very near future. Ryan is the voice of the Wayne Pioneers, and they had a holiday tournament tonight, and he had to do those duties, but hopefully he's on his way up to our location here in the studios at Marshall University. And while we were on break, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or one of our social media outlets or on Network West Virginia, and you saw a lot of the high school pictures, we would like for you to submit your pictures to us. Get your team up there in a little publicity for them. You can send them to @hoops_roundup on Twitter. You can email them to us at scores@basketballnight.com. Also, we have now have a Facebook page. So we're out there. All you got to do is go to one of your sites and put in Basketball Friday Night, and we're all over social media. So send us your pictures, and we'll definitely get them up in the shows ahead. Anyway, we know you are here for scores. So let's take a look at the Marshall University University Sports Journalism scoreboard. And first of all, let's take a look at the girls from across the state. Jordan.
All righty, girls high school basketball across the Mountain State. Several good games going on right now. We've got the Berkeley Springs Indians. They were taking on a team from Maryland. Unfortunately, the Indians walk away in defeat here, 54-23. That was at the Hancock Mixer. Going on down, you've got the Martinsville Bulldogs. They walk away victorious over the Chapmanville Tigers at the Morgantown tournament. In that game, 74-55, your final score. The Lincoln County Panthers took on the Pocahontas County Warriors. The Warriors walk away victorious. That was in the Cohen-Spangler tournament. That's 54-48 in favor of the Pocahontas County Warriors. Scrolling on down, we got St. Joseph Central taking on a North Gwinnett, Georgia. Actually an area that I'm very familiar with from my college days. 74-47, the Irish walk away victorious. That was in Cleveland, Tennessee, Holiday Classic. It was the Pikeville, Kentucky Panthers taking on the Tulsa Rebels. The Panthers walk away victorious 50-37. We've got the Doddridge County Bulldogs. They walk away victorious over the Ritchie County Rebels. 54-48 the score in that one. The Montcalm Generals, 46. The Craig County, Virginia, 36. Scrolling on down, you've got the Fairmont Senior Polar Bears. They walk away victorious over George Washington, 73-63 your score. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish falling in defeat to the Lincoln Cougars, 38-34. Scrolling on down, the Spring Valley Timberwolves. They walk away victorious over the Spring Mills Cardinals, 54-28. The Martinsville Bulldogs taking on the Chapmanville Tigers, 74-55 the final score. Martinsville was on a 23-0 run to open the second quarter in that game. Quite a run by those young ladies. Scrolling on down, the Hurricane Redskins taking on Chesapeake, Ohio. The Redskins walk away victorious. That was in the Wayne tournament, 50-35. The Point Pleasant Knights taking on the Tug Valley Panthers. Correction, that game is actually incorrect here on the schedule. It was the Tug Valley Panthers falling in defeat, 49-58. That was we'll get that one updated here very shortly. Scrolling on down, you've got the Herbert Hoover Huskies and the Parkersburg Catholic Crusaders, 63-28. That was in the Mary O tournament. The South Charleston Black Eagles taking on the Warren, Ohio, 49-33. The final score in that one in favor of the Black Eagles. The final score for the Doddridge County Bulldogs over the Ritchie County Rebels, 54-48. That one went into 2 overtimes, the Bulldogs walking away in victory. 56-26, your final score. Wayne, the Pioneers, over the Nitro Wildcats again in the Wayne tournament. Bridgeport Indians taking on the Elkins Tigers. Final score 59-36 in favor of the Indians. The Ripley Vikings went to take on the Capital Cougars. They walk away victorious 52-38, single A over top of a AAA school, one of those schools we were talking about earlier. 72-36, Buchanan Upshur defeats the Brook Bruins. Final score in that one. Summers County Bobcats taking on the Bluefield Beavers. The Beavers walk away victorious 59-46. And finally, the Winfield Generals 58 over top of the Morgantown Mohegans 46. That's a look at your scores of girls high school basketball from around the Mountain State. Now let's take a look at the boys' scoreboard. Joe,
on the boys' side, it was the Scott Skyhawks knocking off the Titans of Gilmer County up in the Summersville CBB tournament at the Summersville Convention Center by a score of 82-51. In the Brook Holiday tournament, it was Nitro Wildcats over the Brook Bruins 75-43. And a final is Craig County, Virginia, knocking off Montcalm 53-50. In the Cowan Spangler Memorial Tournament, it was Webster County, the Highlanders, over Liberty Raleigh by a score of 85-49. Doddridge County, the Bulldogs, were knocked off tonight by the Lincoln County Panthers, 78-49. Trinity Christian Warriors knocked off Lindsley, 65-55. It was the Polka Dots over the Van Bulldogs by a score of 65-40. In the Skip Fowler tournament in Martinsburg, it was Spring Mills knocking off Central Virginia, 52-46. It was Moorfield victorious over Union, 74-18. Summers County, the Bobcats, over Papaw, 105-30. It was Wirt County over Wahama, 61-53. That was in the Wirt Holiday Tournament consolation game. It was Tuscarora, Virginia, over the Washington Patriots tonight, 79-60. It was Meadow Bridge over Pocahontas County, 73-60. These are all on the boys' side of the scoreboard. It was Savannah Christian Prep out of Georgia over Point Pleasant, 57-51. Martinsburg, the Bulldogs roll on as they knock off Frederick Christian Academy of Maryland, 72-19. Williamstown knocks off Buffalo, 65-53. That is in the Wirt Holiday Tournament championship round. It was Petersburg, the Vikings, over Pendleton County, 56-50, and that was in the Petersburg Holiday Tournament. Here's a game that went to overtime. Jefferson over Faith Christian Academy by a score of 63-55. Greater Beckley Christian knocks off First Love Christian. Chance Potter, 22 points for Greater Beckley, 68-53 in that game over at the Beckley Convention Center. We'll talk more about that game here in just a few minutes. Hedgesville, the Eagles over Bell DC High School, 57-51. John Marshall, the Monarchs over Union Local Ohio, 60-48. It was Kaiser, the Golden Tornadoes, a 2-point victory over Tucker County, 77-75. The Logan Wildcats in the Mountain Schoolboy Classic knocks off Pikeville, Kentucky 70-62. It was the Ripley Vikings coming up just a little bit short tonight as they were knocked off by St. Albans 62-45. Tulsa Rebels knocked off Fairview, Kentucky 61-57. It was Wheeling Park, the Patriots, over St. Clairsville, Ohio, 74-61. And that was, and Alex Vargo had 22 points in that game for Wheeling Park. Nitro Wildcats victorious over Brook, 75-43. It was Shenandoah, Virginia, over the Lewis County Minutemen, 62-53. Lincoln Cougars over Roane County. This game is now final, 52-40. Woodrow Wilson, the Flying Eagles, over Wyoming East tonight. We'll talk a little bit more about this game also in just a few minutes. The score in that one was 73-53. And down in Orlando, Florida, it was the Chattanville Tigers knocking off Perry County Central Kentucky by a score of 71-51 in the Rock Holiday Classic. And that's a look at your Marshall University sports journalism scoreboard. I tell you what, man, the scores are rolling in. 104 games on tap tonight, 21 holiday tournaments across the state. So our phone lines are backing up, so we're going to have to get right to it. And first of all, let's bring in the voice of the Beckley Woodrow Wilson Flying Eagles, Fred Persinger II. And in the back door there over to Armory, and a big game for the Woodrow Wilson tonight.
Yeah, it was a good win for Beckley. Beckley needed this for the first time in the history of Beckley basketball. Beckley was 0-3, so Beckley needed this win tonight, and they got it. They played pretty good ball, still not playing great basketball, but, I mean, anytime you beat Wyoming East by 20 points, it's always a great program. Beckley got a good win. Beckley put 3 players in double figures tonight, so it's always good to get a win for Beckley, and to get that first win's big for this team, who is a young ball club. They lost 80% of their scoring from last year, so I got a couple of sophomores getting a lot of playing time this year for Beckley. So I don't want to say rebuilding, more of like a reloading thing for Beckley, but this Beckley team will continue to get better as the season go on. I do want to say one thing. You all mentioned that Greater Beckley defeated First Love. It's actually reversed.
Oh, okay.
First Love Christian defeated Greater Beckley. Yeah, so that the score was right, but First Love defeated Greater Beckley.
All right, appreciate that. So now I presume that now sets up First Love taking on Woodrow tomorrow night, correct?
Yeah, we'll play tomorrow night. First Love will be the third straight year Beckley and First Love has played in the championship game of this tournament, and First Love Christian has won the first 2 times, and they're a very good ball club. They're 9-3 now on the season. They feature some size. They've got 3 or 4 kids who are 6'9", 6'10". They've got a very good shooting guard who's getting looks from Arizona State, and WVU's looking at him as well. And they've got another kid that's got offered from LaSalle, and they've got one of the top juniors guards in the country. So I know in the first quarter against Greater Beckley tonight, they shot and made 8 3-pointers. So they like to shoot the ball on the outside, so this will be a big test for Beckley tomorrow night.
Fred, you talk about starting off 0-3, and you're very familiar with this Woodrow Wilson basketball program. What does that win tonight do for your program?
It does great things. I mean, because this is a young ball club, and then they do return Bryce Rafford, who is averaging 26 points per game. He finished the game tonight with 16 points, or check that, 19 points I think was in the game tonight. Well, no, I'm right. 16 points the first time. He had 16 points. Danny Bickey had 16 points, and Micah Hancock had 14 points. So the 3 of the 4 seniors scored in double figures tonight. But it's big for this team because, honestly, coming into the game tonight, when you looked at the numbers for Beckley offensively played well enough to be 3-0. I mean, Beckley coming into the game tonight was shooting 48% from 3-point range, 44% from 2-point range, 80% from the free throw line, but we couldn't get stops at the right time. I mean, we played who I think are the 2 best players in the state, and Caden Matheny from University, in a game that Beckley lost 93-83, and then we come back the next night and play David Early and Logan and lose that game 77-76. So Beckley has played well enough to win offensively, but it's getting these young guys to understand Beckley defense, and that's something that is coming along.
Yeah, getting a little experience under the belt will pay off as the season rolls on. And I'll tell you what, their schedule really doesn't get any easier. Of course, you got Riverside, then Capital right after the first of the year, and then you got Greenbrier East once again, a rematch of that first game of the season. So, big things coming for Woodrow Wilson as the season rolls on.
Yeah, no doubt about it. When you look at the schedule, Beckley always plays a tough schedule. I mean, even look further down the list, we got a stretch of 4 games on the road where we go to George Washington. We go to Cabell Midland and Spring Valley later on in January. And, I mean, no disrespect to those 2 teams, but in years past, you looked at that schedule for Beckley, so we got Cabell Midland and Spring Valley. You think, okay, that could be a win. But not this year. I mean, it's not a given this year. Those 2 ball clubs are very good. And then, you look at, we still have Wheeling Park on the schedule. We've got Parkersburg South coming up. We play Bluefield, which is a very good Class AA team. So, and of course, the Big Atlantic Classic will always be challenging as well. So, by the time we get to the sectional tournaments and hopefully regionals and states, Beckley will definitely be ready to go and hopefully make a run.
All right, Fred Persinger II, always enjoy having you on the show.
Thank you for letting me call in. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll talk to you later in the season. Fred Persinger the second had the call of the night with that Beckley Woodrow Wilson Wyoming East game over in Beckley. First of all, we are up against a break, but we're going to go right on into the phone line. Joining us now is Dave St. Peter from WRRR up in St. Mary's. Dave, welcome to Basketball Friday Night.
Hey, it's good to be with you guys.
Good to talk to you again. I think it's probably been football season before you and I had since you and I had a chance to even chat.
Yes, that is true. But we're into hoops now, and we had a good one tonight in St. Mary's. St. Mary's boys game, our second boys broadcast of the season. Our first home game. We've been on the road for a while, but it was finally nice to get home.
Tell us a little bit about that game. You guys played Tyler Consolidated tonight.
Yes, it was a 76-60 win for St. Mary's, and it was a 3-3 Blue Devil squad taking on a 4-2 Silver Knight squad that brought back 3 of their star players from a state tournament run last year. But one of those players got hurt at the end of the first period. Tyler West went up for a rebound on a shot at the end of the first quarter and came down very awkwardly. He was on the floor for a good 10 minutes while they attended to him. They ended up wheeling him off on a wheelchair. We haven't gotten any word on his condition, and that really hurt the Silver Knights. They lost their inside presence, and it really showed. It was 14-11 after the first quarter, and St. Mary's just pulled away from there.
Dave, your team is now, I guess they're now 4-3 on the season.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this program. We've not heard a whole lot about them this season.
Well, it's a very young team. There are only 4 seniors on the roster. 2 of them start, and 1 comes off the bench. It's a very young team. As I said, they start 2 seniors and 3 juniors. I got 4 sophomores on the roster. And even a freshman, Grant Barnhart, the Coach Mark Barnhart's son, comes off the bench for them. And tonight, it was a very productive night as they went 9 deep, and every one of them who played was in the scorebook tonight. So a real balanced effort for them tonight.
Your team gets a couple of day break. They'll be back in action, looks like on the 2nd against Ravenswood. And then you match up. I'm sorry, you play Ravenswood again. Then Williamstown, another tough ball game, and then the season rolls on. You're halfway through, and in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, and those 2 games next week are rematches. What was it? They played Ravenswood a couple nights ago, first game, and beat the Red Devils. I think
61-35
was the final score. 61-35. Okay, and it's a very different Ravenswood team. Not the team that we're used to seeing. Of course, they graduated a lot, and they're rebuilding there. But the game against Williamstown next Friday night, which we also are going to be doing, that's going to be a rematch of a game from a couple weeks ago when they played in Williamstown. That was a really good ball game as well. St. Mary's had a 5-point lead at halftime, but Isaac Cutright for Williamstown came off the bench and scored 11 points in that quarter. That enabled Williamstown to pull away for a 13-point win. But that's a big rivalry game. They're just 12 miles separated, and those 2 schools know each other well, and it's going to be a chance for St. Mary's to get some payback. And the way they played tonight, they should stand a good chance, play a good ball game. I heard on your scoreboard that Williamstown won again tonight, so it's going to be a good ball game.
Absolutely. Dave St. Peter from WRRR. Ryan will be disappointed he wasn't here to get to say that. Always good to have you on the show.
I know your producer said that, so I'll have to call back again next week.
All right, sounds good. Dave St. Peter with the St. Mary's Tyler Consolidated game. He's the sports announcer for WRRR there in St. Mary's. Always great talking to you. Anyway,
right.
we're up against a break. We'll step aside, and on deck will be the assistant coach of Greater Beckley Christian, Justin Arvon. You are listening to Basketball Friday Night on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. Careers in sports journalism are growing with the expansion of cable networks, the rise of sports-centered online platforms, and ever-popular local coverage. Get in the game. Your passion, curiosity, charisma, and a Marshall University sports journalism degree will equip you with a combination for success. You'll be the eyes, ears, and life of the game when you learn the art of sports storytelling while covering the Thundering Herd on our Huntington campus. Go behind player stats and game scores. Learn to report compelling stories. Become proficient in breaking news across multiple media platforms. Find out how sports and media impact our society. Marshall University's W. Page Pitt School of Journalism and Mass Communications is ready and eager to help you start your sports journalism career. Learn more at marshall.edu/SOJMC. Welcome to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Thanks for joining us. Join us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Don't forget our poll question tonight. This week's question, should the 22-game regular season limit be changed? Give us a yes or no. Go to basketballnight.com, vote in this week's poll. If you go to our website, you'll see the poll on the right-hand side of the page. You've got till 11:45 tonight to vote. And, of course, we'll share the results this evening at the end of the show. Big shout out to some of our newest Twitter followers, including BSMS Boys Basketball, Kathy Martin, Jimmy Dale Chapman Jr. 24, Kay Sutton, Jamie Prince, Kirsten, Tony Bailey, and Chris McKenzie. They've all become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
Joe Linville, Jordon Mounts, and APB has been put out on Ryan Epling. He should be joining us here within our next segment or so on the show. He had his PA duties to take care of. Anyway, we'll go back to the phone lines with Justin Arvon here in just a minute. And we know you're looking for scores, and let's shoot it over to our score desk with a couple of score updates. Here's Marcus Constantino and Leslie Scott.
We have a few scores in from outside the state of West Virginia. First of all, the Morgantown Mohegans are down in Florida at the Disney KSA tournament. We just got this score in seconds ago. Morgantown defeats Wilson, Connecticut 56-51. That sets the Mohegans up to play in the championship of the Disney KSA tournament tomorrow at 2 o'clock. They'll be taking on Bayside, Florida. Also, this score just came in as I was reading that. East Fairmont Lady Bees defeated Hanahan, South Carolina today, 53-24 in the Carolina Invitational. And, of course, you can send us your final scores from wherever you are. You can text us at 304-249-4924. You can email scores@basketballnight.com. Or, of course, you can tweet us at @hoops_roundup. Back to you, Joe.
All right. Thank you very much, Marcus Constantino, for those score updates. And joining us now is the assistant head coach of the Greater Beckley Crusaders, Coach Justin Arvon. And, Coach, welcome to Basketball Friday Night.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right, Coach. tough one there tonight. A team that has a little bit of notoriety, but tell us a little bit about the game and your perspective of it.
Well, we came out with great intensity. I believe after the first quarter it was 21-16. They were shooting the ball extremely well. We were giving their shooters a little too much space, not getting a hand up, and they've got 6 or 7 kids with Division I interest, and their guard I believe just received an offer from Arizona State, and he has 13 others. They're really good players, and we just didn't get out on the perimeter and defend very well. At the beginning of the game, they shot 10 for 15 from 3 in the first half, but we stayed in the game, 40-28 at halftime. Ended up cutting it down to 51-48 with about 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Then they hit a couple drives on us, just got to the rim, and spread the lead out, and we started pressing, and it ended up being a 15-point game there after all was said and done. But we're very happy with the effort and intensity that our kids came out to play with against what most people probably thought was a significantly better basketball team.
Anyway, you had a young man, Chance Potter, I believe, had 22 points for your team tonight. Tell us a little bit about Chance.
Well, Chance is very athletic. He's 6'4". He's strong, quick. He can jump. Last night against Westside, he had 34 points and 12 rebounds. Tonight he had, the 22 points, but he rounded out the stat sheet again. He's just a great senior leader for us. He's extremely intense defensively, and he finishes extremely well on the offensive end. And he's got some college interest himself, of course, and we're proud of him and how far he's come.
Yeah, you guys are actually off to a pretty good start here early in the season.
We are. We stumbled right out of the gate. We went down to Tug Valley, and of course, it's always really difficult to play down there. And we had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter and made a lot of mistakes there. And then Tug's a young but good basketball team, and they took advantage and hit a little buzzer beater on us. And we went home 0-1, but then we rattled 3 wins off, and then the loss tonight to First Love. So I think we're moving in the right direction.
Of course, you got to shake off that loss tonight, heartbreaker, and now you face Wyoming East tomorrow night. What do you know about those guys?
Well, of course, everyone in Southern West Virginia knows how tough Wyoming East plays, how strong, physical they are, how intense they are, and they can always shoot the ball, and it's going to be a challenge. Anytime they step on the floor, it's going to be a challenge for the other team. We understand that. And our kids understand that. If we come out with the same intensity, I feel like it'll be a good basketball game, and we have every chance in the world to come out on top. If we don't, you'll see a typical Wyoming East style game where they could easily come out on top. Of
course,
so it'll be a good one at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a lot of good atmosphere over in the Armory there in Beckley tomorrow night.
Yeah, I hope so. Tonight was a good crowd for both games, for the battle for the Armory, and hope we see a better crowd even tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are you guys looking at schedule-wise in the next couple of weeks?
Well, we've got a good bit of games coming up here. We travel. We'll see Charleston Catholic coming up in the next week and a half. We go to a big one at Greenbrier West, going to St. Joseph's back to back in Huntington, and a couple other games mixed in there. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but we've got a good schedule coming up here in the next couple of weeks.
All right. Coach Justin Arvon, the assistant coach of Greater Beckley Christian. The Crusaders roll on in a tough one tonight, but you guys will regroup and as the season rolls on.
Yes, sir. That's the plan.
All right, Coach. Thank you very much for joining us here on Basketball Friday Night. And Jordan, obviously you must have had a chance to see these guys earlier in the season.
Greater Beckley Christian, I had the chance to watch these guys first game of the season, and for whatever it's worth, it was the first game of the season. But that being said, that's a talented group of kids. They're athletic, they hustle, they can jump. But and they're pretty quick. It's a team that's going to get better as the year goes along. And honestly, I think that team has a lot of potential to make a pretty deep run in Charleston when when that time comes here a little bit later.
Yeah, they've already got a couple of notoriety games under their belt this year, and playing in that tournament over at the Armory there in Beckley, and they'll continue into that tournament into tomorrow night and get into the regular season as the new year rolls around. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They finish that tournament up, and then they go on to take on James Monroe, and then they've got Charleston Catholic, Greenbrier West, local school, and then also St. Joe Central. So 4 really good games right there, back to back there for Greater Beckley. So good basketball for these guys coming up, and if you're in the area, that's definitely some games I'd like to be checking out if I was up in that area.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd like to get. It's been a long time since I've been to a game in the Armory. I mean, several years. I'd like to go over and watch some basketball. There's a lot of history in that facility.
I could say the same thing, but for high school it is. But now, actually, the last basketball game I got to witness there in the Armory was last year. I went over and watched some of my alma mater play some of their college basketball games over there, because it's with West Virginia Tech moving to the Beckley campus up there now. They're playing all of their home basketball games right there at the Armory. So.
All right. Be sure to check out our scoreboard at basketballnight.com. And, of course, you can check those out anytime. Send us your pictures, team pictures, man. I tell you what, we enjoy watching those during the breaks. And we'll get to see more of those here coming up in just a minute. As our I guess we're halfway through the cross flags, and we're moving right along. And I seen Ryan Epling come sliding into the parking lot there a minute ago. So Ryan will be joining us here in our next half-hour break.
I noticed that he had actually called us. I was wondering. I was kind of thinking, oh man, is he thinking about making another grand entrance?
Or is the the roadblock down the road somewhere? Anyway, we'll continue on as the second half of Basketball Friday Night continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be on Friday nights after the game. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. R.J. Klein, Sherman Tide, Jesse Muncie, Tulsa Rebels. Tonight, we add someone from the Nicholas County Lady Grizzlies. What they all have in common is they were selected by Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia as the Standout Athlete of the Week. Have someone remarkable on your team? Did you have an athlete make an outstanding play? You can nominate your team's players to become the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week, we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week. Head over to our website, basketballnight.com, and click on the Standout Athlete of the Week tab. Fill out the nomination form. We'll take it from there. We want you to nominate your team's athletes. Check it out at basketballnight.com. We're streaming video live from the studios at Marshall University. Of course, visit basketballnight.com for video, audio, and the Basketball Friday Night scoreboard. You can watch our live high-definition video stream by going to basketballnight.com. Also, you can find us on Facebook. Basketball Night WV. Takes just one click to watch. You can listen online with any computer or mobile device by clicking the Listen Live tab. And you can also go to our affiliates page. We're on radio stations throughout the Mountain State. And become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family by following us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. @hoops_roundup.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
Welcome back to the second half of the Basketball Friday Night show here from the studios at Marshall University. Jordon Mounts, and look who appeared. Ryan Epling. Good to have you back, sir.
Heard my name a few times.
Yeah.
Hey, I get my own theme music now. Maybe I need to do this more often.
All right. Anyway, calling a holiday tournament down at your alma mater at Wayne. Good to have you back.
Yeah, the Wayne girls basketball team goes to 8-0 with a 30-point win tonight over Nitro. Wayne played really well tonight. Held Nitro to single digits in each quarter. 56-26 was the final in that one. Nitro has a really good sophomore named Bailey Goins. She's getting Division I interest right now. There was an assistant coach from Marshall who was at the game tonight. Wayne held her to 9 points, and if you've seen her play or if you know anything about her, keeping her in single digits is a big deal. Wayne gets 16 points tonight from Lakin Atkins, 10 points from Sarah Hooks, 9 from freshman Jasmine Tabor. Really a good team effort, and that was one of the better games that I've seen Wayne play this year in the 4 or 5 now that I've seen. So pick up a 56-26 win, 8-0 on the season, and get a week off for the new year and take on Chapmanville Regional next Thursday night.
And while you were away, they moved our food table and set Marcus Constantino and Wesley Scott over there to do the scores.
I'm concerned about the food now. Where does the food go?
It's over behind the camera.
Well, then we'll be all right. But, fantastic night for basketball. And I enjoyed the tournament, too. Hurricane picked up a win tonight over Chesapeake, Ohio in girls basketball in the consolation game of the Wayne tournament. Last night, Nitro beat Hurricane in a kind of a slugfest, so to speak, 40-32. It was a defensive game, and Wayne picked up a win yesterday over Chesapeake, Ohio by 20. I think that's 56-36 or something in that nature. But anyway, point being that good to see some different teams. I don't know the last time I don't think Hurricane girls basketball has ever played at Wayne before. Chesapeake and Wayne have played before. Nitro and Wayne are in the same conference. That is a non-conference game today, by the way. They play their Cardinal Conference matchup a little bit later on this year. But good to see different teams. Good to see some different philosophies. Saw some familiar faces in different places over the past couple of days. So
friends in low places.
I had to throw that. But still, just a good time to get out and watch some basketball, and good gate, good crowd at both games.
Good.
And, nice way to spend that week between Christmas and New Year.
We got 104 games on tap tonight, 21 tournaments just in the state of West Virginia, not counting all the tournaments that in-state schools travel to, like down south and into Florida that they're participating in this weekend as well.
It's a lot of games.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a long scoreboard update.
It was. I thought I was going to have to take a oxygen there halfway through the last one.
But it's just again a great time of year, and I know that a lot of schools have gone out of state to play, and Martinsburg was very impressive last weekend. Picked up the championship in a tournament at Myrtle Beach, or at Hilton Head, excuse me, and. University has played very well in boys basketball in the Myrtle Beach tournament the last 2 nights. Lost to a nationally ranked team by 10, Cox Mills, North Carolina, 2 nights ago, and beat Socastee last night. Socastee, former head basketball coach was?
I forgot.
Dan D'Antoni.
Tony, that's all right.
Yes,
I forgot about that.
Marshall men's basketball coach, and a legend in his own right out of Mullins, West Virginia.
Yeah. And speaking of games, last week we had a AA Classic down in Chapmanville. Fairmont and Chapmanville going down to the wire. Chapmanville coming from behind to knock off Fairmont Senior in that tournament.
I thought that game lived up to the expectation. I watched it on Facebook. It's fantastic in 2018, right? But almost, and we're almost to 2019.
Yeah,
but
really.
Still, I was able to watch that game. I know Fairmont jumped out to about a 10-point lead. Kind of midway through the second quarter, and I don't think either. I mean, it was a low-scoring game, but both teams actually shot the ball well. It was just they couldn't get off a whole lot of shots.
A lot of defense.
Yeah, the defense was very good. I thought both teams played very well. I thought that was a type of game that you see in Charleston in March on Championship Saturday. It's the type of game that either team could have won. If you turn around and play that game again the next night in Fairmont, Fairmont could have won,
Absolutely.
and it would. I don't think that you necessarily look at that as an end-all, be-all, but you look at that as an opportunity for Chapmanville, if it should play out this way, to continue on through the course of the season, to perhaps get the number 1 seed in Charleston, which in theory gets you a slightly easier road to the championship.
Right.
It's
not going to be easy this
for
year.
anybody.
No.
And I think both teams came out for the better from that game. I know Chapmanville lost for the first time last night.
Right.
Lost to Oak Hills, Ohio.
Right.
Not to be confused with Oak Hill, Ohio, which is just up the road also.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware that there was
yes, there's Oak
Hill
Hill
and Oak Hills.
Yes, big difference. Oak Hill is a powerhouse in their own right, but in a smaller division. Oak Hills is a very good Division I program, which is the large schools in Ohio. Right. So, no shame in that loss for Chapmanville yesterday, a 2-point loss. And it's just, again,
And speaking of losses, sometimes a loss is good. I mean, you go on an undefeated streak and, you can let your ego get out there sometimes and, you let your guard down. And the next thing you know, in those key games, you get knocked off.
A loss in December never really hurt anybody.
It's only good.
Right. And obviously you want to win every game. I don't think
absolutely.
No coach is going to fully agree with that. Yeah, I wish we'd have lost that game in December. We'd have been better off for it. But
you don't hear them say that, but
it's in many instances that type of game. It's not necessarily the win or the loss, even though that's what you feel at the end of it. It's playing in that competitive type of tight, low-scoring game. Chapmanville has been in a couple of those kind of grinder games now, even though they're a team that likes to get out and go and can score big numbers. Right. You want to play in those types of games because those are the types of games you get in March, and you don't want that to be the first time you've done it.
And it makes you better as the season goes on.
Sure does. I think that's a lot more than hyperbole. Mm-hmm. Let me say that word right. Hyperbole as well.
There you go.
There we go.
So, guys, before we get back to everything here real quick, just want I did hear you get to speak with Dave St. Peter, WRRR.
Oh, you had to do it.
Yeah. You only got 3 WRRR references in there, and in the short time I've been here, I've now got 3 WRRR references in. So,
I can't win.
But always a good time. And Jordan, I know you've seen some really good basketball games early on. We talked a couple of weeks ago after that Tug Valley game with Greater Beckley Christian, winning one at the buzzer, losing one very late at Tulsa.
Yeah.
I mean, that feels like you go to a Tug Valley game, you might as well skip the first 31 minutes because that last minute's what it comes down to.
Yeah, well, unfortunately in tonight's game it didn't end up that way at all. They kind of got beat by about 23 points there, but very talented West Side Renegade ball club right there. So from what I've briefly looked over the stats, it was a good game up until the fourth quarter, and that's whenever the West Side pulled away.
Tell you what we're going to do right now. We're going to step aside, take a break. When we come back, we'll get back to the phone lines. We'll also get another check on our Marshall University Sports Journalism, basketballnight.com scoreboard, all that and much more. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia rolls on here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
This is high school basketball's voice in the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. High school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as the teams focus on a trip to the state championship in Charleston. Stay up to date with your local team and its progress all season long with Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia for 3 hours every Friday night from 9 to midnight. Listen online or on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. You'll hear sports writers, broadcasters, coaches, players, and your calls recapping your team's game. Visit basketballnight.com for more details on how you can become part of the show. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup. @hoops_roundup. Thanks to everyone tonight that called, sent texts, tweets, and emails. We appreciate you being part of the show and helping us cover all high school basketball in West Virginia. Join us on the phone tonight. Share your team's game. 855-784-6677. 855-784-6677. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup. @hoops_roundup. Text the show 304-249-4924. 304-249-4924. Go to our website. Check out the scoreboard. Find out how you can become connected to the show tonight at basketballnight.com. Don't forget our poll question. This week's question, should the 22-game regular season limit be changed? Give us a yes or no. You've got till 11:45 tonight. Go go to basketballnight.com. You'll see the poll question on the right-hand side of the page. It's all at basketballnight.com.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State. You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
10:44 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Joe Linville with you. Luke Creasy is with us now, our special correspondent. Our standout athlete of the week this week is Anna Hamilton of Nicholas County High School.
Yeah, Ryan, you and I have both gotten to see her play this year. They played at Wayne early on in the year, and really an impressive player, kind of a do-it-all player for those Lady Grizzlies. And I was talking to Coach McGurl earlier, and he said about her sophomore year, she started getting double-teamed, and he said, you've probably seen the last of being single-teamed. Really a dominant player. I think she finished with 25 against Wayne and against that Lady Pioneer defense. A really impressive player.
And that's a ball club that is expected to at least contend for the state tournament come March. And she really is a do-it-all type person, not only on the court, multiple, because she's an outstanding volleyball player as well. But basketball court, and then off the court as well. She's a senior class president at Nicholas County High School, vice president of the National Honor Society. I mean, if there's a leadership type position, she's as qualified as anyone.
Man, I was impressed when I was talking with her. I asked a simple question. So outside of basketball, what else is there to Anna Hamilton? And she hit me with that, and I was like, wow. Just to have the maturity in high school, a lot of high school athletes and students don't have that maturity to be able to lead, a class president in the class president role, and also to be in several other leadership roles outside of the basketball team. So impressive all around for Anna Hamilton.
And Luke has more with this week's standout athlete of the week, Anna Hamilton of Nicholas County High School.
The Nicholas County Lady Grizzlies began the year with a record of 1-2. Now, slipping a game under 500 early in the year isn't the worst situation a team could find itself in. But for Anna Hamilton and the Nicholas County girls basketball team, they knew something had to change. The Grizzlies had very little time together in the offseason, resulting in a wide gap in on-court communication that led to individualized efforts on the court rather than working as a team. Anna Hamilton's efforts to turn around the young season by incorporating team-building activities to fine-tune her team's performance is what makes Hamilton this week's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia Standout Athlete of the Week.
I think our turnovers went 28, 30, 29 our first three games. And then the last four games we're averaging less than 15, so that's been huge. The more possessions that we don't terminate ourselves, the better off we are.
Nicholas County struggled in the turnover category as a team, but Hamilton, a senior for the Lady Grizzlies, noticed that she had some turnover issues of her own in the early goings. Now, she's a big piece of the offense for Nicholas County, but she knew she couldn't do it alone. She needed all five girls on the floor playing together to begin having success.
If there's tension between you guys and so forth, then you can't play a team. I mean, basketball is not a single-person sport in any means. So if you're going out on the court with the mindset that, I have to get my points, I have to get my stats and so forth, then you're not going to have a good game because you're not all playing together.
Hamilton, with the help of other seniors on the team, began organizing team-building activities to develop a different atmosphere in the locker room because they believe that establishing a bond between teammates off the court could lead to better production on it. Now at 5-2 and on a 4-game win streak, it looks like those team-building activities are paying off.
We've done a lot of bonding activities, and so to speak, before games and playing poker, stuff like that, and I think that's helped because we're forming more of a family type of oriented team rather than just a basketball team. And, I think I've had a part in trying to make us closer. All the seniors have, though. We had a Secret Santa type of thing together, and I think all the seniors are really doing a good job in making sure that we're not just friends on the court, but off the court as well, and that's helped us a lot.
It's Hamilton's senior season, the last go-round with the Lady Grizzlies, and there's one thing she wants to do before her high school career comes to an end. that perhaps is the fuel behind her drive for better chemistry with her teammates. A trip to the state tournament in Charleston.
I'm really hoping that this is the year. I would hate to go through my last season of high school without making it. Going to Charleston is such an awesome thing, an awesome experience for the whole school and the community. So we're definitely shooting for the state tournament.
Hamilton and Coach McGurl agreed that they need to shore up the Grizzlies' defensive effort to reach the tournament at the end of the year, but are hoping that the continued development of the team's chemistry will propel the Nicholas County girls to their first appearance since 2013. For Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, I'm Special Correspondent Luke Creasy.
Thanks very much, Luke, and we'll have Anna Hamilton on the show in our next hour. We'll also get a scoreboard update in our next hour as well. Right now, I want to go right back to the phone lines. Garrick Justice is the head coach of the Riverview Raiders girls basketball team. He joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Coach, sorry for having to have you hang on there with us for a little bit as we kind of reset the show here for the second half of our program, but good to have you tonight.
No, guys, that's not a problem at all. It's easier to listen to it on the phone sometimes than it is on the radio.
Hey, we're working on improving our radio reach, so hopefully we can help you out there as well. But Coach, just tell me a little bit about, before we get into the specific games here, the week between Christmas and New Year's. There's a balance of letting your kids spend some time. Yeah, right? It's a difficult week for everyone.
Yeah. Again, that you're always dealing with, that the family has family in, or a family's going to see somebody. Do you go on Christmas Eve? Usually not. Do you go on New Year's Day? Maybe, maybe not. And again, every coach has to deal with that. Luckily, right now we've not had a weather issue that even complicates that more. But this is a good time. Again, if you can get people out, and again that family situations, should trump basketball. But at the same time, again, that you got to let a kid see their family too. And for coaches to come and pull your hair out, that's why I shave mine. Again, like if you get them out, then that's great. So this is the time, again, I think you can really get better or, stay the same. And again, that the good teams find a way to get into the gym, and, the family's still there to support them because they come to the games. I hate to sound like a Scrooge with that, but, but there's some truth to it. Again, that if the kids want to play, they'll get there. And, again, for our girls right now, again, the last 2 or 3 weeks of practice have been some of the best we've had in a couple of years. And, we went to Easter night, lost by 20, but again, it's kind of like that George Washington game there 2 weeks ago. It wasn't really a loss by 20. The first quarter, the big jumped up on us 24-6. And again, we had looks that we broke the press. The last 3 quarters that we lost by 1. Now people might look at that and say, well, they pulled their people. Saunders stayed in the whole game. Blankenship was in the whole game. And again, we held Blankenship to 7 points. I don't know if she's ever been held to 7 points. And again, we held them to 54. So again, we're growing up. Again, we're struggling a bit on offense, but again, I'm super pleased with our defensive effort and the ground we've made here in 2 weeks. And again, it's back to just what you led in with, that that our kids are finding a way to get to the gym.
And it's always a lot of fun, too. Something, Coach, and I think you touched on right there. What better way to bring the family together than to go to a basketball game?
Absolutely. You socialize in the JV game and watch the varsity, and then go out to eat afterwards, which is the most important thing.
Hey, I think that sounds like a great family evening to me.
But what a way, the team you played tonight. What a way to build your program. I mean, you dropped to 6-3, but I'll tell you what, you're still off to a great start.
Yeah, we're 6-3. Again, at the West Side game that we didn't play well, and again, that's taken nothing away from West Side because they've got shooters, from player 1 to player 9 on the roster. And again, they just shot the eyes out against us that night. And again, that we, didn't play our best game, but at the same time, that's nothing against what West Side done. George Washington, again, top 5 AAA team. Again, that we played them within 10-15 most tonight at East tonight. And again, that Saunders was the only one that got double digits on us. And again, that my center, Calhoun, has been averaging about 16 points. Now, she only had 2 tonight, but she took it to Saunders all night. But she went up, and she probably got stuffed 8 or 9 times. But it was that attitude that we wasn't going to back down. So, the big reason I called was just to kind of, tell the state again to how proud I was of our girls. Again, that we said, Wyoming East, state champions, okay, that's fine. Again, we're going to outwork you. And, tonight again, I thought we did. Again, though, talent's a different story, because, again, they got players that can play. But again, when you get them to, 50-some points, again, that's a lot about effort and heart.
Coach, your team back in action next Thursday against Phelps, Kentucky on the road. Certainly wish you and your girls the best of luck. And, Coach, hope you had a Merry Christmas and sincerely hope you have a Happy New Year as well.
Same to you guys. Appreciate it.
All right. That is Gary Justice, the head coach of the Riverview girls basketball team. They fall tonight 54-34 to Wyoming East. And
it's
Joe,
a pretty impressive game, really, if you think about the talent they played tonight.
And break down the game within the game. You hold Jazz Blankenship to 7 points. Emily Saunders sounds like she had to work for her points tonight. She's a University of Tennessee signee.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They fall behind early. Wyoming East has a way of kind of overwhelming you early, but played them pretty well even the rest of the way. And I agree full-heartedly with what he said, that yes, you can easily say Wyoming East may have kind of relaxed a little bit. That's fine. But all he can control is, he actually can't control how his girls play. They control that.
But
you know what I'm
he
saying?
has
As
a
coach,
say in it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And from a standpoint of what he can control, Jordan, I think that, that's something that they can certainly build on.
Ryan, I had a chance to watch last year's version of the Lady Warriors there from Wyoming East there as they made their run to the state championship. And I got to say, just looking at the talent that was up there between that, there was no doubt that Wyoming East was the best team in the state last year in girls basketball. At least that was presented there in Charleston. Now, knowing what they returned from that team to this team, knowing the talent that they brought back, that's a very good game there that those Riverview girls played against them to hold them to only mid-50s there.
And Gabby Lapardis moves on to Youngstown State. Insert Skylar Davidson, who is a sophomore who was injured last year and missed almost her entire freshman year. And, that was a team that was runner-up a year ago. Lost a very heartbreaking type game to North Marion, who made 35 of 36 free throws or something unworldly.
Yeah. Well, they lost a key
miss.
Player in that first game.
Yes, lost Lapardis in
Right.
that first game to a knee injury. But, Wyoming East is still very, very talented. North Marion's very talented as well. Again, they lost to Fairmont Senior last week. So I think that AA, is it a two-team race? I don't necessarily think that's the case this year. Not as much as I thought it was last year. And maybe even a year ago, I might have sold a couple of teams short because Frankfort had North Marion to the wire in the semifinal round. And Wayne went cold, but had a 9-point lead early against Wyoming East. They actually did okay against the initial surge, but then the undertow got them there a little bit as it went on.
Tsunami.
And that was a lot of Kara Sandy also had a big game in that one, and she's now at Bluefield State. So, I think that AA kind of presents itself as open. And again, what Coach Justice just said there. With Riverview, I don't think there's going to be anybody that just coasts to Charleston. I think Riverview's a team that's going to make it difficult or make it themselves. I mean, this is it's a little early in the year. We're still in December. You're still kind of feeling your way out. And right now, Joe, these games are all about getting better more than just the simple win-loss.
I mean, we're in the first of 3 months, basically. You start into it, and then, you just try to keep getting better. And then January, you get into the meat of your season, and next thing you know, it's March.
It is the fastest 3 hours in radio, and 2 hours are already in the books. I feel like I just got here. We'll be back with more of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Hour 3, when we come back, we'll have a scoreboard update. And we'll also hear from our resident referee, Bo Anderson. Again, Hour 3 of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia is after the break here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. Special thanks to all of our affiliates tonight. You can listen on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State, including 105 KQV, WKQV in Cowan, 105.5 FM, and heard in Braxton County on 106.9 FM, 103.7 Jack FM, WQWV Fisher, the Valley's Watchdog, 1600 AM WKKX Wheeling, 1370 AM WVLY Moundsville, Jackson County's home for Southern Gospel, Singing News Radio 92.5 FM, WTHM LP Ravenswood Ripley, Nights Radio 91.5 FM WRSG in Middleburn, Talk Radio WRNR Martinsburg, 740 AM, 106.5 FM, Classic Hits 106 WHFI Linside, 106.7 FM, 95 The Sports Fox, WBES Charleston 950 AM, The Voice of the Coalfields, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM WVOW Logan, Light Rock 93R, WRRR St. Mary's 93.9 FM, The Ticket 102.3 FM WMTD in Hinton, the greatest oldies of all time 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP Edmond Beckley. Tune for You, Yap Radio 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, 104.5 FM WASPLP in Huntington, 101.1 FM WVWPLP in Wayne, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, and Marshall University's flagship station, The Cutting Edge, 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington. Welcome to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Welcome back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. To join tonight's program, call 855-78-HOOPS. That's 855-784-6677. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup for all the scores all the time. And visit basketballnight.com for a comprehensive look at schedules and standings for every team in the state. Stay tuned. Another hour of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia begins right now.
Third and final hour of the night, final hour of the year for Basketball Friday. Not the season. Not
This
the season. The year.
The calendar year.
Of course, the last of 2018 for us here tonight. And then we'll flip the calendar over early Tuesday morning and start all over again.
And then a year from now, we'll go, where did 2019 go to?
I mean, yeah, guys, I just now got used to writing 2018 for the year.
It usually takes me a couple months.
I'm still writing 2015 on stuff every now and then.
It seems like I make it through like the first 2 months and then like, bam, where did that come from?
Yeah, so what year is it again?
You let your guard down, I guess.
I understand that completely. Guys, we got a jam-packed final hour. Resident referee Bo Anderson will join us. We'll also have our standout athlete of the week, Anna Hamilton. We will debut our basketballnight.com power ratings.
The power rankings.
The power ratings will come out shortly. We'll also have our poll question, cause time, all the good times that we have here on Basketball Friday Night.
The best
in
hour.
West Virginia. It is the best hour. We save the best for last. That's why you should always stay with us through the entire 3 hours, because you never know what's going to happen in this
and
final
you never
hour.
know what you're going to get out of the cause.
That's right. And you know who else doesn't know what's going to happen this final hour most of the time? Us. But we always have a good time, though, on the program. That's what we do know. That's what we can control. So right now it's time for a check of the Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard. And for the boys' scores, we're going to kick it over to the score desk to Marcus Constantino and Leslie Scott.
Thank you, Ryan. First, starting with Scott Skyhawks, they get a 82-51 win over Gilmer County in the Summersville CVB tournament. The Harmon Panthers defeated Elkins Christian 61-30 in the Harmon tournament. Morgantown Mohegans get a 56-51 win over Wilson, Connecticut. That's in the KSA Disney Classic. The Mohegans will play Bayside, Florida tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the championship of that tournament down in Orlando. Craig County, Virginia defeats the Montcalm Generals 53-50. Webster County comes out on top of the Liberty Raleigh Raiders 85-49 in the Cowan Spangler Memorial Tournament at Ritchie County. Lincoln County 78, Doddridge County 49. Trinity Christian defeats Lindsley 65-55. The Polka Dots defeat the Van Bulldogs 65-40. In the Skip Fowler tournament in Martinsburg, Spring Mills defeats Central Virginia 52-46. The Moorfield Yellow Jackets pummel the Union Tigers 74-18. Summers County also putting up big score over the Paw Paw Pirates 105-30. The Work County Tigers defeat Wahama 61-53. That's in the consolation game of the Work County tournament. The St. Mary's Blue Devils defeat the Tyler Consolidated Knights 76-60. Tuscarora, Virginia over the Washington Patriots 79-60. The Meadowbridge Wildcats beat the Pocahontas County Warriors 73-60. Savannah Christian Prep, Georgia defeated the Point Pleasant Knights tonight 57-51. The Martinsburg Bulldogs with a big win over Frederick Christian Academy, Maryland 72-19. And in the championship of the Work County tournament, the Williamstown Yellow Jackets defeat the Buffalo Bison 65-53. The Petersburg Vikings on top in the Petersburg Championship game tournament over there. 56-50 win Vikings over the Pendleton County Wildcats. The Jefferson Cougars defeat Faith Christian Academy in overtime 63-55. Jefferson goes on a 6-0 run in the first 90 seconds of overtime to get that win. First Love Christian down in Raleigh County Armory over Greater Beckley Christian 68-53. Chance Potter with 22 points for Greater Beckley Christian. Hedgesville Eagles defeat Bell DC 57-51. The Cameron Dragons defeat the 100 Hornets 60-55. John Marshall over Union 60-48. Union, local Ohio, that is. Kaiser Golden Tornado defeats the Tucker County Mountain Lions 77-75. Logan over Pikeville, Kentucky tonight 70-62. That's at the Mountain Schoolboy Classic in Belfry. The St. Albans Red Dragons defeat the Ripley Vikings 62-45. Tulsa over Fairview, Kentucky tonight 61-57. And Westside defeats Tug Valley 78-55. Wheeling Park on top of St. Clairsville, Ohio 74-61. Alex Vargo had 22 in that winning effort for the Patriots. Nitro Wildcats defeat the Brook Bruins 75-43 in the Brook Holiday Tournament. Sharando, Virginia defeats the Lewis County Minutemen 62-53. The Lincoln Cougars over Roane County 52-40. Woodrow Wilson collects a big win over Wyoming East 73-53. Wheeling Central Catholic on top of Charleston Catholic 66-60. And Chapmanville Tigers get a win over Perry County Central Kentucky 71-51. Over to Ryan now for the girls' scores.
Thanks very much, Marcus. In girls basketball tonight, Hancock Mixer, it was Maryland School for the Deaf defeating Berkeley Springs 54-23. Cabell Midland in the Carolina Invitational picks up a win over Wando, South Carolina 35-24. Low scoring game there, but Cabell Midland gets the win. Also tonight in the Morgantown tournament, it was Martinsburg defeating Chapmanville Regional 74-55. I'll get a chance to see the Tigers of Chapmanville Regional next Thursday night when they travel to Wayne. Also in the Carolina Invitational, East Fairmont defeats Hanahan, South Carolina 53-24. The final in that one. Pocahontas County in the Callan Spangler tournament defeats Lincoln County 54-48. Also tonight, Harmon defeats Hundred 47-22. In the Cleveland, Tennessee Holiday Classic, Huntington St. Joe defeats North Gwinnett, Georgia 74-47, the final in that one. Pikeville, Kentucky picks up a win over Tulsa tonight 50-37. Also in the Callan Spangler tournament, Doddridge County defeats Ritchie County 54-48. It was Montcalm, a winner over Craig County, Virginia 46-36. Fairmont Senior picks up a win over George Washington tonight. That's a top 5 AA defeating a top 5 AAA, at least in terms of where these teams are perceived to be at this point in the season. 73-63, Fairmont Senior gets the win. Lincoln defeats Notre Dame 38-34. It was Wyoming East, a 54-34 win over Riverview. Spring Valley defeats Spring Mills in what is suddenly a burgeoning rivalry. The two schools about as far apart as you can get. Met in football in the playoffs, and they meet in girls basketball tonight. Spring Valley gets the win over Spring Mills 54-28. Also tonight in the Wayne Holiday Tournament consolation game, Hurricane defeats Chesapeake, Ohio 50-35. Redskins trailed 17-5 late in the second quarter of that game, but outscored Chesapeake 45-18 over the final half and a couple of minutes to get the win in that one. Parkersburg Catholic defeats Herbert Hoover tonight, 63-28. South Charleston picks up a 49-33 win over Warren, Ohio. Wayne wins its holiday tournament tonight with a 56-26 win over Nitro. Pioneers hold the Wildcats in single digits in each of the four quarters. Lake and Adkins 16 points. Sarah Hooks with 10 in the Wayne victory. Bridgeport defeats Elkins tonight 59-36. Ripley beats Capital 52-38. Yes, sir, that many scores. We outlasted the music bed tonight. Buchanan Upshur defeats Brook 72-36. Bluefield picks up a win over Summers County 59-46. University a 60-38 win over Mountain Ridge, Maryland. And Winfield beats Morgantown 58-46. Nice win for the Generals. And that's a check of your Marshall University Sports Journalism, basketballnight.com scoreboard. Before we go to our resident referee, Bo Anderson, I do want to make one more note. Wayne's girls have now won 28 consecutive regular season games.
Wow.
They won their final 20 last year, 8-0 to start this year.
On a roll, man.
That's definitely a school record. I don't even have to look that one up. Just tell you right now.
Well, you're at every game. Before. I mean, every home game.
Well, I mean, I'm not that old. I haven't been everyone ever played, but it may seem that way to some people.
Talking about Spring Valley, I mean, like Spring Valley's are over here, Martinsburg's over here.
Yeah. Spring Valley, right outside of Huntington, is about as far west of it is as far west of a AAA school as there is.
Right.
Spring Mills is just about the furthest east AAA school.
Right.
You can't get much further.
You can't.
That's about it.
And the way the state of West Virginia is laid out to boot. So.
All right, everybody got their questions ready for Bo?
The Bo Meister.
Our resident referee, Bo Anderson, enjoying the holidays, I'm certain. And by that, I mean calling a basketball game roughly every night. It's the holiday season, right? Our resident referee, Bo Anderson, joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Bo, how are you tonight?
Just coming back from a game. I'm glad it's not raining at the point.
Tonight was the first time I've been to a basketball game that didn't rain, it feels like, all year. I'm just tired of having to wear a rain jacket into the game every night, into the gym.
Well, I'm just glad it's not snow, because at least with the rain, most of the time it doesn't change these schedules around and become a scheduling nightmare. We're kind of, short on officials, and both states that I work in, I know Ohio over the last year lost 5,000 officials. So,
wow.
We struggle to cover games. That's why I always try to encourage people who might be interested in getting into doing it to maybe take a chance at it, and you never know, you might turn out to be a good one if you just work on it.
It's a shame that that this is going on. That as the officials get older, it's hard to find young blood to come in and step up to the plate.
Well, me and my refereeing partner teach the class every year, and if we have 8 or 9 in the class, that's a lot for us. And the next year, if 3 of them have stayed, that's a lot for us to keep. There's a lot of things that happen. People find out it's not for them. They change jobs. They move. We lost a couple of people that one of the people in the class moved off already. We've lost a couple other officials that had to move that, haven't been doing it very long. And it's just a wide variety of things, Joe. But unfortunately, we can't always keep who we'd like to keep.
Resident referee Bo Anderson with us here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Bo, always so kind to take out some time and help explain to us things that we see along the way. And something that I saw, and I don't want to be too specific, but something that I think we've all seen this at times. In the handshake line, be it players, be it coaches, someone sometimes gets a little heated or acts up a little bit. And just take me through this. The role of the officials ends when the final buzzer sounds. That's it for in terms of what you're in control of on the court, correct?
Well, it ends, actually, Ryan, it ends whenever all the officials have left the visual confines of the playing area. So if we're still on the court, even when the horn sounds, if something happens and we see it, we can still take care of it. But, when the horn goes, unless the scorekeeper has got an issue with the score, and it's a close game, we get off the court. We're not hanging out for anything. So, most generally, we don't want the good, the bad, or the ugly. We just want to get to the locker room and the game is over. So most generally when things happen after the game, the horn sounded, the officials are probably not apt to catch it unless it's right there in front of them. But yes, we are still in jurisdiction of the game until we leave the visual confines of the court, and that's all officials.
Okay, say, for example, an incident does happen after the buzzer. Is there any actual penalties that can be assessed?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We sure can. Absolutely. There's still, the horn can go off and something can still happen. Absolutely. I tell you what happened in a game, and it caused the rule to change a little bit. Before that, it didn't necessarily have to be while the officials were on the court. And what happened was a coach from one team who had they were ahead in the score when the horn went off, and the officials got down partially down the stairs, and the coach chased them, so they called a technical on him, and they come back up and went and got the other team, and the other team made both foul shots, and they won by a point.
That's interesting.
So, you can now, once we're off the court, it's over with. Now, we could still, if something was going on or something happens to us after we go to the dressing room, we can still write a report to our individual states. So, we're still in jurisdiction through the contest till the end of the contest, and then that also includes if we have to write special reports up. That's an extension of the end of the game, even though, we have to have our reports in within 24 hours to the WVSSAC's office, which that stuff is online.
And, Bo, we'll give you one more question as it is the holiday season. You run across anything this past week that maybe you don't see all that often?
Well, nothing that I don't see often, but I've seen early in a few times in the last week or two, players not understanding that when a pass is made and a player goes to catch the pass and intentionally bats the ball down the court with one or both hands and picks it up and then starts to dribble, and we blow the whistle to call double dribble. That if a player intentionally bats or strikes at the ball to hit it to the ground and picks it up, that's the start of a dribble. That's not the same thing as a fumble. Now, they can pass the ball and they don't catch it, muff it, and it goes and it bounces on the floor. You can pick it up, you can still dribble it. But when they intentionally bat it to the court, that's the start of a dribble. And we've had that a few times in the last couple of weeks, and the players don't understand. Of course, we try to explain to them, and of course, most coaches are teaching them to catch the ball to start with, but they don't always do that. But, a little rule that I always remember is fumbling. You can fumble, dribble, fumble, but you can't dribble, fumble, dribble. And if you remember that rule, you'll get the double dribble right in the call. But on the case of the judgment of intentionally batting the ball down on the ground, and if it's clear cut, then they've started their dribble and they pick it up. They cannot dribble again.
Can you say that? Can you say that 3 times?
I've seen that a lot.
Can you say that 3 times real fast?
You can fumble, dribble, fumble, but you can't dribble, fumble, dribble. But I only do it once.
I learned that at the Don Smith camp at the Huntington YMCA many moons ago. And
oh yeah, absolutely.
there was a certain referee who was helping instruct that camp.
Yeah, there might have been a guy. You may know who that is. That just shows Ryan how old he really is. I guess it really shows me how old I really am.
Exactly. I'm looking young out of all this. I don't know about you guys.
Hey, Ryan, I was thinking of it this way. If I work next season, it'll be into 19 and 2020, and it will actually mean I'll be involved in 5 decades of officiating basketball.
Doesn't it just sound different when it's said that way? 5 decades of officiating?
Yeah, because I actually started whenever I was in the 10th grade. My high school coach let me do youth league. So I've actually been, I'll tell you my age, I'm 53, but I've actually been doing it since I was really 15 and unofficially for 3 years. So this is my 36th year. Unofficially, it's my 39th. So, basketball's been good to me, and, I enjoy doing the game, and you cannot get into this if you don't enjoy it.
Absolutely. Our resident referee, Bo Anderson. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a Happy New Year, Bo.
All right, Ryan, have a Happy New Year, and I'll have some good stuff for you in the new year.
Sounds good. That's our resident referee, Bo Anderson. Boy, I dread next week already. All right, let's have a take a break. When we come back, we will talk with our standout athlete of the week, Anna Hamilton of Nicholas County High School, and we will also unveil our power ratings. Don't look at me like you're surprised over there. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be on Friday nights after the game. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Marshall sports journalism graduates learn transferable skills that score competitive careers. It's time for you to get in the game. Critical thinking, communication, and commitment to accuracy and desired skills in the expanding job market in sports. Sports journalism and sports communications careers are some of the most coveted positions in the country. The Marshall University School of Journalism and Mass Communications is ready and eager to help you start your journey. Learn more at marshall.edu/SOJMC. Thanks for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you being part of the show. Thanks for following us on Twitter. And our newest Twitter followers include Emery Lovejoy, Jason, Mark Spradlin, Aaron Kay, Angel McKenzie, Gage Lanham, Mommy Lovins, Jason Arthur, Josh, Jeremiah Harless, and Andrew Workman. They all are now part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family, and you can join too. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Tonight, call the show. You've got time left. 855-784-6677. 855-784-6677. If you're watching our high-definition video tonight, you're going to see a whole lot of pictures. We want you to send pictures of your games, fans. Send them to us on Twitter, Facebook. You can even email them to us. Email them to scores@basketballnight.com. Scores@basketballnight.com. We're here for you. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
Rick Marone not here. Jordon Mounts is here. 11:21, now 11:22 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling alongside Jordon Mounts and Joe Linville. Happy to have you along, as well as the cast of thousands behind the scenes. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. This is our 4th show of the season. Our final one of 2018, number 77 overall. So we're getting older by the week.
By the day.
Yeah, well, that too. But certainly enjoy bringing basketball across West Virginia to you and introducing you to many of our, the athletes and coaches, the personalities sometimes, as well as the newsmakers within high school basketball in West Virginia. And one such newsmaker is our standout athlete of the week this week. She is a senior at Nicholas County High School. The Grizzlies off to a good start right now. They had a little bit of a slow start the first week or so of the season, but Nicholas County's bounced back to win its last 4 games, and a ball club that is certainly a threat to make it back to Charleston this year. Anna Hamilton is our standout athlete of the week. She joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. First off, Anna, congratulations on being our Standout Athlete of the Week.
Thank you. It's great to be on the show tonight.
You are a multi-sport standout. Just tell me a little bit about playing, balancing volleyball, where I understand that you've had a lot of interest from some pretty good schools there as well, and balancing that with basketball.
Right. So I definitely love both volleyball and basketball, and it has been a challenge. During volleyball season, it's really hard to, go to the gym, go to volleyball practice, and then still try to get some shots in the evening. But I try to make it work as much as I can. I do a lot of out-of-season lifting, so I try to have my lifting sessions pertain to both volleyball and basketball. So that helps a lot. But it's definitely a struggle, but it's worth it. Both sports are great, and they've made me who I am today. So.
And you are our Standout Athlete of the Week. And a lot of that also goes beyond what you do on the court. The student body president at Nicholas County High School, as well as vice president of the National Honor Society. And something I remember from growing up is that oftentimes at a young age, leaders tend to be sort of recognized by their peers, maybe before they even realize they're leaders. Has that always been the case with you?
I have had a lot of people tell me that they thought I was kind of meant for leadership. I definitely like having leadership roles in my school. It's great because I'm able to, as student class president, I'm able to act kind of as a voice for the kids in my grade of problems they have with the, with the school system and so forth. So that's always been great. And I think being a leader isn't always just being, above someone else, but kind of maybe bringing others together. Definitely with my teams, I've really tried to make sure we've had a good connection, had a more leadership role as just bringing us together as a team. And I think that's definitely helped. All the seniors on both the volleyball and basketball team have helped me with that. And I think that's played a big part in just bonding us as a team together and has helped us in both volleyball and basketball as well.
And I find it very intriguing that your team relaxes by playing poker. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, definitely at the beginning of the year, we were having some before-game jitters, if you want to say, and our coaches just thought that, playing poker, having a little bit of fun before games would be a good relaxer, and, so far it's worked pretty well. On tomorrow, we're going to have a little Christmas gift exchange, so we're planning to keep it up.
What I'm glad sports betting is now legal in the state of West Virginia. But seriously, do you play for matchsticks, or what do you actually play in the game?
Well, no, it's not very intense poker.
Okay.
The other day we played past the ace. I don't even know if that is poker, but
but anyway, it's a lot of fun, and it's to learn your teammates' game face, maybe even.
Right. It's definitely bonded us. It's a lot of fun. There's been some pretty intense card game matches we've had, almost led to injuries. So we're going to have to calm that down a little bit.
So who's the best card player on the team? I guess that's the biggest question now.
Oh, man. I might have to give a shout-out to Emily Williams. I think she's the best.
She has the poker face, yeah.
Right. She's won a few matches.
Well, Anna, your team started with a tough loss to Wyoming East, bounced back with a win over Midland Trail, lost the game at Wayne. I know that you guys were on the road forever because of Interstate 64 issue with traffic on your way just to that game. There's no short road between Summersville and Wayne. I can tell you that firsthand.
Right.
But you've won 4 consecutive games. Just tell me a little bit about not letting your team get down. You're in a leadership role with that team as well, and sort of be like, get through the rough times, and now you're starting to see some of the rewards from that.
Right. So I think that the biggest problem we were having at the beginning of the season was our defense. We were getting really lazy on defense, not moving our feet, not boxing out. And I think all of us as seniors, just kind of realized this is our year. This year can only go as fast-paced and as well as we set the goal. So, definitely as seniors, we've all kind of stepped up and really, busted our butt in practice, and we've really been working hard on defense, and I think that's what's been allowing us to win these last 4 games. So hopefully we'll keep that up the rest of the year as well.
Anna Hamilton, our standout athlete of the week. I did have a chance to see them play at Wayne. I did see her play in that game. Definitely worthy of this honor. And Anna, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Best of luck through the new year.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, that's Anna Hamilton, our standout athlete of the week, a senior at Nicholas County High School. We'll step aside, take a break. Much more of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia when we come back here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
High school basketball's voice in the Mountain State. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. It's the Daily Hoops Roundup, part of BasketballNight.com. Every day we recap the day's scores just for you on all teams in West Virginia. We'll send followers an email at 8 a.m. with a Daily Hoops Roundup report. You can visit BasketballNight.com and just check the day's scores. We'd like for you to become part of our score reporting crew during the week, too. Send us your team scores by Twitter, text, email, and we'll make you part of our Daily Hoops Roundup. We want you to become part of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. Follow us on Twitter at @Hoops_Roundup, @Hoops_Roundup. And a shout out to some of our newest Twitter followers, including Ferris Murad, Kelly Zumo, AJ, Renee Wilson, Dr. John Bennett, DC, Garrett Brown, MHS Barstool, Samantha Sayre, and Terry Merritt Bell. Thanks for joining us on Twitter at @Hoops_Roundup, @Hoops_Roundup. Also, we want you to send us pictures. Send us your pictures of your game and your fans. Send them to scores at basketballnight.com, or you can send them to us on Twitter or Facebook. Many places to listen and watch Basketball Friday Night. You can go to our website and you can click watch. You can also click listen live. We're on Facebook Live, and we're on Periscope, obviously on Twitter at @Hoops_Roundup, @Hoops_Roundup. In the Huntington area, we're on Comcast Channel 25, Armstrong Digital Channel 204.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
Ryan Epling, Jordon Mounts, Joe Linville, Marcus Constantino, Leslie Scott, Luke Creasy,
Joey Doss.
Joey Buckets.
Joey Buckets.
Joey Buckets. Yep, Joey Doss.
And there's a few
Fred
more back
Dameron,
there, yeah.
Allie. Whoever else is back behind the wall. We don't even know who else behind the wall.
There's so many people
running
around here.
At Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We're so thankful to have them. Of course, we built this set now to where, when I say we, I mean Mike Stanley, who's also back there, built this set to where they don't have to look at us any more than what they already do on camera. So
now they have to watch us through a monitor instead of through the window. You know?
Right,
So-
yeah. It's always a little bit weird. But that's just how it works. It's how, we have a good time. We certainly thank them for their hard work. Something that I think that deserves a couple of moments. You don't necessarily always get time to do so in radio, but to thank those people who are behind the scenes, who help. They are the foundation of this program. This program can't function without them, and they put in a lot of hours behind the scenes, so we can sit here for 3 hours on Friday night and sound reasonably intelligent.
I thought you was going to say look good.
There's only so much
I
they
know.
can do. And, we
But-
haven't got the hair and makeup department out yet.
But seriously, they make our job easy. I
They
mean,
do.
they get our callers on the line. They just
Fred Dameron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
They're
the rock stars
they are
in this program.
They're the
They
rock
really
stars.
are.
There you go.
Yes, they really
Thanks,
are.
guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to thank them for all the work that they do behind the scenes. And, of course, we've been able to drag Marcus Costantino out in front of the camera a little bit more often.
If they're going to play if they're going to play "We Will Rock You," they need to at least bring in some Bohemian Rhapsody.
Marcus is right now working feverishly on the power ratings.
He's almost pulled all his hair out.
I mean, like I was joking with him during the break, if he gets out pen and paper and starts with that, then we're getting really
Speaking
tight.
of the power rankings, I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. We just had the standings on our website. Well, there was some people from an opposing team a little farther south than where I live, thought it was the power rankings. And they start, at the time, Scott was undefeated, and they thought I'd put Scott way up there. I had nothing to do with it, guys. It was just the way the standings were at the time. And, man, they ripped me up one side and down the other on social media. I finally, once I explained to them and even how the power rankings work, they all kind of calmed down and called off the wolves.
Right. It's math, guys. It's not an opinion.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
just how the figures fall.
Right. And again, it's winning percentage is what you see on the standings.
Right.
That's the order it's in. It's
right.
in winning percentage.
Right.
So
and if your team is undefeated, you're going to be at the top.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Looking at we want you to know though that you can go to basketballnight.com. You can go to @hoops_roundup on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Like us on Facebook. You follow us on Twitter. You like us on Facebook at Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. You can get all the scores. We'll even send them to you if you sign up for that as well. We'll send them to you every night.
Our crew,
in the middle of the night,
our behind-the-scenes crew will email you.
We are awake 24 hours a day with this program. Someone is.
Guarantee it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I maybe it's.
I know what shift you work.
I work midnight to 8 a.m. Not on the program here, but
down the street.
And, just down the street, and I do. Look, what I do pales in comparison to what is done here by the others. So I definitely want to thank all of them for all their work, and a sincere thank you and appreciation and gratitude to them for all that they do. A lot of times we get into this portion of the program and we're just all so jam-packed into trying to get everything in that we don't have time to kind of breathe and kind of take a look at some of these scores that came in throughout the course of the evening and reflect upon them. And, the Mountain Schoolboy Classic boys basketball game, Logan beats Pikeville tonight. For those who don't know, Pikeville is pretty good basketball team. Went to the Kentucky State Tournament last year, the Sweet 16. Kentucky only has, there are not classes in Kentucky basketball. One state champion, regardless of school size. So you make it to the Sweet 16 in Kentucky, that is a major accomplishment. So that's a nice win tonight for Logan. You also look at St. Albans defeating Ripley tonight. That's a good win for the Red Dragons. Somewhat surprising, not rubbing us in, Jordan, but it's true. 78-55. I'm not shocked that Westside won that game. I'm
not
kind of surprised at the margin.
Well, we've talked earlier here. I think it was the first week of the season, first show, maybe, Ryan, about how young Tug Valley really is. But sophomore jitters. There's a lot of youngsters on that team. Only three seniors. So. And of those three seniors, only one of them plays regularly. So, again, probably just some. It's honestly going to be some growing pains, as I think is the way we kind of described it earlier in the season. And that's with any young team across the Mountain State. You get a lot of these teams that have primarily sophomores, freshmen, juniors, even. These kids that don't have that quote unquote that leader, that mentality, that maturity about themselves. You're going to have just some mess ups there and some growing pains.
And Jordan, one thing that's tough to overcome for this, I know that you've been around enough to understand this. A lot of times, those types of groups aren't used to losing. No. They haven't faced adversity, and this is many times the first time in their basketball playing careers that those guys across from us are bigger than us. They're older than us.
Yeah.
And at this moment in time, they're better than we are.
Yeah, I've spoke to a couple of, to several athletes around, especially of the freshman, sophomore variety that are just coming up and starting varsity basketball for their first time. And they're saying, they're having a difficult time adjusting to the whole situation. And it's the same thing always comes up. I was the tallest on my middle school team. I was the biggest on my middle school team. I was the fastest on my middle school team. I was the smartest on my middle school team. I don't know if that's a thing or what, but nonetheless, it's one of these things. I was the best on my middle school team. I was used to having my way with whoever was around me, and that's not the case anymore. You're playing, a wise coach once told me that when you're in middle school, you may be the best player on your team. When you go to high school, you're playing with the other best players of their middle school team. And it goes on up even further than that. When you go to the college level, you might be the best on your high school team. Well, now you're playing with the best of their high school team. So, and it goes on up and on and up and on up. Several people that I've talked to, and that's about the best way I've ever heard it placed when you talk about the different levels of athletics, whether that be all the way down middle school buddy league, all the way up.
Something I want to mention, I was on the Mark Hatcher show on WVOW last Saturday. We were talking about how many outstanding athletes in basketball there are that are underclassmen. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily the seniors area. There's a lot of great underclassmen basketball players playing high school basketball in the state of West Virginia this year.
And
you can take that even a step further than that. You see the same thing whenever you take it even to the college level, Joe. But go ahead, Ryan.
No, you're fine.
Didn't mean to. No, I was just all I was stating is that you start seeing this a lot more as you keep on going, even up the ladder between the college level and even the professional level, if you're lucky enough to make it that far.
And certainly, this is the time of year where you start to see some of those teams mature a little bit, that are getting their feet under them, getting used to it. Another big game in single A boys tonight was Wheeling Central defeating Charleston Catholic 66-60. Mm-hmm. That's another one of those games you might see on down the road as well. And girls basketball tonight, Winfield bebeating Morgantown is a big win. Win, and Bluefield beating Summers County is by 13. Not necessarily just the win, but a 13-point win over the Bobcats. Yeah. That's one that kind of opens a few eyes tonight as well. And again, I was at the Wayne game. Wayne very impressive in their win over Nitro.
And Doddridge County took Ritchie County to 2 overtimes tonight and come out on top 54-48. Some close games tonight. Then it was a couple blowouts too.
You're always going to have that. But we're going to step aside, take our final break. When we come back, we'll get our poll results and our next poll question. Wish we'd have thought of that earlier. We have a poll question for you on this play. And also we'll kick it over and see how Marcus is doing with the power ratings. You may have to check our website for that. That's all in Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Oh, yeah, the cause time. Who can forget that? This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be on Friday nights after the game. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Special thanks to all of our affiliates. You can listen on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. Go to our affiliate page on basketballnight.com, and you can find a radio station near you. We are on these stations: WKQV, Cowan, 105.5 FM, and heard in Braxton County on 106.9 FM. 101.7 FM, Jack FM, WQWV in Fisher, the Valley's Watchdog. 1600 AM, WKKX Wheeling. 1370 AM, WVLY Moundsville. Jackson County's home for Southern Gospel. Singing News Radio, 92.5 FM, WTHMLP. Ravenswood, Ripley. Nights Radio, 91.5 FM, WRSG Middleburn. Talk Radio, WRNR, Martinsburg. 740 AM, 106.5 FM. Classic Hits 106 WHFI Linside, 106.7 FM, 95 The Sports Fox, WBES Charleston, 950 AM, The Voice of the Coalfields, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM, WVOW in Logan, Light Rock 93R, WRRR St. Mary's, 93.9 FM, The Ticket, 102.3 FM WMTD Hinton. The greatest oldies of all time, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZ LP, Edmond, Beckley. Tune for you, Yap Radio 101.7 FM WYAP LP Clay, 104.5 FM WASP LP Huntington, 101.1 FM WVWP LP Wayne, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, and 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State. You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
11:43 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling alongside Joe Linville. Also with Jordon Mounts. Happy to have you along with us as we wind down the fastest 3 hours in radio. Now, you know, it was situations sometimes arise where, Coach Marone having to do his administrative duties as the assistant principal at Tulsa by attending a basketball game tonight at home.
He could have came in after that.
I mean, we're only 45 minutes from Glen Hayes, but here on the campus of Marshall University in Huntington, West Virginia, the location of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. But I got a chance to work at the Wayne Holiday Tournament for girls basketball the last 2 nights. So I was a little bit late. Appreciate everyone who was checking in on me like, why aren't you at the show? Including people who were at the game I was at. Asked, shouldn't you be on the radio right now? It's like, I'm here. Come on, guys. But, it was certainly a lot of people wear a lot of different hats to make all that happen. So we certainly appreciate all of them. One person who wears many hats around here is Marcus Constantino. He is over in the Score Center, and Marcus, I believe, is ready with our poll question this week. I got to quit looking at him. I'll quit that this week. He's just off camera. Why would I look at him when I can look into the camera, and there he is?
Ryan, you would think you weren't a TV person or something.
I'm on the wrong side of the camera right now.
He's used to giving those kind of instructions.
So last week's poll question, should the 22-game regular season limit be changed? 54% of voters say it should be more than 22 games. 37% of voters say no, the 22-game regular season limit shouldn't be changed, and only 9% of voters think it should be less than 22 games. Now, this week's poll question relates to multi-sport athletes. Should the number of practices required of fall sport athletes coming to play winter sports be reduced even further? I believe it's 7 practices right now. Should it be reduced even further? You can go to basketballnight.com and cast your vote. You've got until 11:45 next week.
And one reason that we bring that up is obviously if your football team makes a deep run or your volleyball team makes a deep run, then that cuts into your ability to practice.
Right.
There's also the rule that you have to be at practice like the following Monday to have that shortened required practices to be able to play. If you miss that Monday, then you have to have the full allotment of 14.
Yeah.
And
that's going to take you about probably close to 3 weeks to get all those in.
Right. And the AAA, the Super 6 is, a Friday, Saturday, and then you have to be at practice Monday. You have to be at practice Monday.
I'm still celebrating.
Or I'm still got ice, one or the other.
Really.
But the other side of that is that the whole idea of that is to make sure kids are in good shape. It's a absolutely good rule to have.
And I can guarantee you, if you played in Wheeling, you're in shape.
I mean, you've just practiced football for 18 weeks roughly. I would think that would suffice.
Well, I mean, it is 2 different types of in shape between football and basketball, but at the same time, I would tend to agree with you. You're in shape. You are in shape if you have made a deep run here into the football playoffs, especially. The
other side of that is that, as always, kids are a little more durable than the adults give them credit for being. But I mentioned like with Spring Valley, for instance, a couple of players who played in the football title game did not go to the Monday basketball practice, therefore had to sit out. Well, it took a little while to get
the practices in.
It took a little while to get into basketball, the groove of things, as was anyway. And Spring Valley goes to Parkersburg South last night and beats the Patriots by 10 on the road. Pretty good win for Spring Valley.
Absolutely.
And also when you have a Doug Nestor who's about 6'7", clogging up the middle.
They've got some athletes now.
You got Grayson Malashevich, who did not play last year. And then, they surround. They are the supporting cast when it comes to basketball. They are not the stars of that basketball team. That is a very, very good basketball team, though, in terms of one that I think can be a little bit dangerous. C.J. Meredith is a kid who's getting some looks for, and he's the basketball player among the athletes playing basketball this year, so to speak. That makes sense to a lot of people, maybe not others. It's cause time. Rick Kozlowski will understand this with the Martinsburg Journal. It's something Martinsburg goes through every year. We've already talked about that. We talk about it every year with cause, it seems like. But the good times are definitely rolling, as anytime we have cause on, the good times roll. Rick, welcome to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Let the good times roll. Roll on, let the good times roll.
Hey, wait a minute. New Year's Eve is Monday night, man. Hey, Rick, how's it going?
How's everybody doing?
Yeah, we're great.
I asked first.
Oh, okay. I'm doing good. I think we're doing good here.
Yeah, I think we're doing okay.
Passable. No. Yeah, we're doing just fine,
Okay,
Rick.
well, hey, I'm glad to hear that. Okay, goodbye.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to know.
Happy New Year.
Cause time just gets shorter and shorter, it seems. Rick, we talked about the fact that we've talked about this in a lot over the past few years with the success of Martinsburg football, and we talk about having to wait and having to get the basketball players kind of ready to play basketball who come from the football team. But from the standpoint of eligibility, do we require maybe a little bit too much of those kids who are shifting from one season to the next?
Wow, that's a tough thing, because beyond going from football to basketball or wrestling in the winter, when you turn around in the fall or spring, they are starting some of the spring sports before the state basketball championship ends.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're just like, we're cramming the stuff together to get these seasons going. Would it be fair to delay it in some regards, or does that come down to the individual schools? And I think Martinsburg kind of does that on their own. They don't really play games the first week of the boys' basketball season, and even the second week are kind of a little bit leery of going into that because of what the football team does. But they've sure come around real quick. Haven't lost a game yet. Won a big tournament in Hilton Head, South Carolina. I know they had a little scrimmage game tonight. The results of one team calling at the beginning of December to say that they wouldn't be coming to a tournament that they'd already committed to. And as a result, I guess Martinsburg, Dave Rogers, the longtime coach who's into his 40-something years, called 100 different teams to try to get into their tournament to try to find somebody. And they got a couple of small Christian schools from the area that, they're glad to, I don't know if I won't say a paycheck day, but they well, you know what I'm talking about.
We know what you mean.
Colleges have those things, yeah. So they feed them some pizza. They get to play on, against a good team, and and there's smiles all around. We hope.
Martinsburg, of course, winning that tournament in Hilton Head, South Carolina, and having also taking advantage of what is in effect a waiver to play on Sunday. because the championship game was Sunday.
Yeah, that is. They have to appeal to the SSAC to say, "Hey, can we do that?" And I think last year as well they could have played on Sunday, and I don't know how difficult it is to get that, but when these tournaments do these kinds of things, and you're in them, I don't think you would just want to walk away and say, "Well, we can't play on a Sunday." I know generally the rule is, no Sunday play, although in the spring, because of certainly weather situations, they have the ability to play the baseball championship on Sunday, and if they have to move the track championship, that can be competed on a Sunday. So, I mean, there's those times, but I think, the general rule of thumb is, try to avoid Sundays.
I know they didn't let you go to Hilton Head for the tournament.
Didn't let him?
Hilton Head's not going to allow the cause in right now. We'll just put, I don't know about that. But, no, something that's hard to gauge sometimes, these tournaments. I think it's safe to say that, those are good wins for Martinsburg. I don't know how great they are in terms of what the caliber of competition was, but I don't know that Martinsburg could have done any more with it than what they did. So what does Martinsburg leave out of there knowing?
I think, from the looks of things, and I can't give a great answer to that question, but I think Martinsburg faced a really high quality team in the semifinals, and that was probably the most competitive game they had. And the championship game wasn't as close, and I think it was a good team they played in the semis, and do you get something from those tournaments? Well, you play 3 games in 3 days, which, depending upon how you're seeded in Charleston, you may have to play 3 games in 3 days. So from that point of view, you certainly are experienced in that kind of regard.
Something I think that you always get helped with these types of games is being able to play against teams that play different styles. And as much as the thing is, and I want to finish this thought with this comment, is that I think sometimes in West Virginia we tend to go, "Oh, they beat an out-of-state team. That out-of-state team's great." And it's like, well, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I have a high opinion of the quality of basketball within West Virginia.
Oh, I think you're right. And, I think it's just a matter of whom you play. And sometimes it's really hard to tell how good an out-of-state team is. Certainly, around here, there's lots of crossover and lots of out-of-state teams that play because of our geographic location. But when you start playing some of these teams from Alabama and Tennessee, it's like, okay, who has any kind of an idea?
Exactly. And I want to also say one other thing. When I say that I feel very confident in the caliber of basketball within West Virginia, Martinsburg is one of the reasons why. They are certainly off to as good of a start as they could be, undefeated. What more could you want? Rick, I got to let you go here before too long, but you've got about a minute. Rick Kozlowski's New Year's resolutions. Would have probably been better if we'd warned you about this coming up to give you some time to think about
ready.
it. Maybe.
I got a feeling.
You know what? You're a smart person. I'm going to cut you loose here. You have 1 minute. Go.
I resolve to every show come in and tell no jokes, to be totally serious, and to give nothing but the facts.
You'll blow that week 1.
Well, that's the last edition of Cause Time. Obviously. Rick, we certainly appreciate you taking the time out to talk with us each and every Friday night, right up against the proverbial bewitching hour, and certainly look forward to a new year as well.
Hey guys, we're going to be throwing confetti in a couple days. Happy New Year's to all you guys. May it be the best year ever.
Hey, I like that. That's Rick Kozlowski of the Martinsburg Journal. Thanks so much, Rick. All right, let's just before we go here, we've got just a little bit of time left. This is the final time that you will see Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on Network West Virginia, which is on many cable outlets, specifically Suddenlink related throughout West Virginia. Network West Virginia will be going off the air before we come back to you next Friday night. I want to thank the people at Network West Virginia who took the chance with us. I think it was 2 years ago now.
Yeah, and a lot of people watched the show on that facet.
This is how my family around Wayne would just, because it's easier to turn on just turn it to channel 2 or wherever it may be.
Don't need
than
a
what it
computer.
is to find the computer.
That's right.
Find because you have to look through the house for a computer, but you know what I mean. But get the web address and all that. But they were very good to us, and we thank them for taking a chance on us, and we certainly look forward to what the future holds there, and certainly want to thank all of our affiliates throughout the Fast Break Sports Network and throughout the great state of West Virginia. This is the final time in 2018, guys. We come back next year, we'll flip the calendar over. That number on the end will be a 9 instead of 8, and certainly look forward to all of that. We thank all of you on this holiday week for tuning in to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. For the entire cast, I'm Ryan Epling. Have a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Tune in next Friday for the latest high school basketball action from across the Mountain State. Visit basketballnight.com for our show archives, the poll question of the week, and the basketballnight.com scoreboard. Until next time, have a great weekend, and thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. The preceding broadcast was a presentation of the Fast Break Sports Network. Copyright 2018, all rights reserved.